All right, I suppose we should talk about this fucking Impact show. I'd rather talk more about my Facebook page. It's way more exciting.
Well, what's your favorite thing about your Facebook page?
Well, the fact that I've already got 1,014 people who like my page.
I was just looking at it, someone posted a completely random photo of Tory Wilson.
I know, did you see that?
Because you had a crush on her like 7 years ago.
Yeah. Tory Wilson,
she's a lovely woman, don't get me wrong.
Still hot. Yeah. Funny how... Anyway. Let's see if we've got a song here. Oh, someone had to do it. I don't know if any of you listened to the Todd Martin show today.
Uh-oh.
If not, you missed out. Todd's shows are always great.
I need to interrupt you here. You have a comment on your page from a friend named Fiv Scholarios.
Yes.
Tremendous.
And the comment says, damn.
Actually, I'm reading the one above that, but...
Oh. Yes.
That's nothing important.
Oh, Fiv, I now just wait for the B&V show before I decide whether I watch Impact.
Yeah.
Well, don't watch it this week, homie.
Really? You needed to tell you the show sucks?
Yeah. This show this week is...
This show sucked?
Ass.
Don't watch it.
I can't even say it's ass, because Brooks got a great ass.
Yeah, there are a lot of asses I would rather watch 100 times before watching this show.
This show sucked. Anyway, on the Todd show today, which is always great, because Todd is... the best way to describe Todd, if you've never listened to his show, the defining moment of Todd's radio career was last week when we were doing predictions for UFC 130, and we were doing predictions for the Matt Hamill versus Quentin Jackson match. And Todd spent approximately 5 minutes building a case as to why Matt Hamill could win the fight, and then he predicted Quentin Jackson. That's Todd Martin, everybody.
That's everything about lawyers you need to know.
So anyway, Todd was doing the show today, and we got into talking about how absolutely goddamn fucking awful the Fortune theme song is. And Todd was arguing that the song actually was not that bad. And his defense was, there have been a lot of songs worse.
Oh, no.
He then proceeded to sing some of the songs.
Oh, no.
Now, I have not listened to this drop yet. I don't know if it's any good. But somebody has created a song of Todd singing Christian's theme. So, let's check it out.
I'm an easy mark for a bad theme. The Christian theme, where it's just the same thing over and over again. Christian, the last year on your own, do 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 do, and just repeat over and over and over again. Do 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 do, and just repeat over and over and over again. Do 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 do, and just repeat over and over and over again.
That was awesome.
I need to play that fucking thing at the beginning of every Todd's show.
Do it again.
You want to hear it again?
I want to hear it again.
I'm an easy mark for a bad theme. The Christian theme, where it's just the same thing over and over again. Christian, the last year on your own, do 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 do, and just repeat over and over and over again. Do 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 do, and just repeat over and over and over again. Do 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 do, and just repeat over and over and over again.
Oh gosh. He sounds
crying right now.
He sounds completely unaware that it would be funny in any way. He's so matter of fact.
That's not the only song he sang either, so hopefully we get a series of these.
I want a Best of Todd Martin album.
J.J. Pigot wrote that song.
Excellent.
Oh.
That was better than Impact.
Oh my God. That was so much better than Impact, it's not even funny. Oh, that made my day. All right. I suppose we should do Impact now.
Let's get it over with.
This show was a piece of shit.
It was.
I mean, there's no other way. There's no pleasant way to describe this.
There's no polite way.
You know, I have written the word hate. I wrote a series of... I wrote the words hate a number of times. Let me just do a quick search here to tell you. This was the Eric Young, Mr. Anderson segment. I wrote the word hate 372 times in a row. That's how much I hated that segment.
I may need to edit that some.
No. If you take out a single one of the hates in that thing, Vinny, I'll kick your ass. In fact, I may add more.
It was awful. It was awful. It was awfully awful.
The other thing I got to say is, I unleashed so much hatred in the Impact report that I don't have any more for this show.
Right.
So I kind of ruined the show for myself by expressing. That's why you can't take any of the hatred out of the newsletter, because the hatred needs to be somewhere.
Maybe you should try doing a dramatic reading of your notes. Read it like a script, like a book on tape.
No. That segment. Bischoff got served.
That's exactly what I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that took 20 seconds. Then ODB and Velvet Sky brawled for 7 minutes. That's like 3 Impact matches.
He got served.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Now that the show's over, I'm really starting to think about this. Mm-hmm. When you know what the documents were, why was he served in these documents?
I don't know. There is no logical reason, Brian.
This fucking show.
It makes no sense. So, yes, apparently Velvet had been about to do a bikini shoot when ODB attacked her. So they're having this brawl. Velvet is wearing just a long t-shirt with a bikini underneath.
During this segment, we heard the following words. Douche. Crazy bitch. You stupid bitch. Am I missing anything here?
Whore. Repeatedly.
Yeah, repeatedly.
I believe they said skank, although I may have mixed that up from prior Impact segments.
Sure.
So they brawled in the back. They brawled into the arena. The cameraman ran up to them. I almost threw up. I don't know what they said here. Something actually got bleeped. They actually got R-rated in their dialogue.
Probably fuck.
We were told that...
Or midget.
We were told that ODB blamed Velvet Sky for being fired. I don't know why she feels this way or why we should care. What is she correct? It's possible. Cameraman got beat up. Velvet Sky is a bad wrestler. Then we put her in a brawl, and all she can do is throw barefoot kicks and knife-edge chops. Jesus Christ. So then they got down to ringside, and ODB attempted to embarrass Velvet, the bikini model, by stripping her to her bikini.
In a segment that started out with her in a bikini shoot.
Yeah. And Velvet Sky threw her hands over her chest, at which point your wife, who had been drinking wine, said, "Oh, my boobs are showing."
Yes.
So after all this, 7 minutes of this brawl, everyone, ODB throws her on the mat and covers her and counts a pin.
Yeah.
She hated her so bad she wanted to pin her.
She wanted to get a pin fall in the middle of the ring. She was so mad.
So then ODB left, and then I wrote, Miss Tessmacher hits the ring for the save. Then I thought, what kind of save is this? Yeah. She waited until the threat was gone, and then went into the ring for no reason.
This segment went 7 minutes. Uh-huh. Imagine, if you will, if you had not seen this segment, a brawl between Velvet Sky and ODB that lasted for 7 minutes. Nobody ran down to make the save. There were 2 security guys who ODB beat up. They brawled to ringside, and at one point, there was an Irish whip in the crowd.
Oh, God.
Irish whip
my God.
In the crowd.
Velvet had to take the Irish whip into the guardrail and make it look like it hurt, and she failed.
Oh, did she ever.
God.
And that led to the aforementioned stripping down to her bikini during a bikini shoot, which the bikini-clad woman found appalling, and then the pinfall. This just sucked. So then Ken Anderson came out dressed as Sting. He promised a famous competitor from Sting's past and went to the back. Now, the show, I don't have anything else to say about that, but this show opened with Eric Bischoff getting served in the parking lot. Then we had the brawl. Then Anderson came out. Then there was more Eric Bischoff. He was on the phone with Scott. Don't know who Scott is. As he was on the phone with Scott, Bryan Kendrick appeared. Now he and Bischoff are suddenly chums. We missed one show, and I feel like a month went by. Suddenly they're friendly. He's thanking Bischoff for the opportunity. He wants to wrestle Abyss again. Actually, this you're missing a very important part of this. We missed last week.
Yeah.
Bryan Kendrick shows up and thanks Bischoff for the opportunity, and he didn't say what it was.
That's what I was getting to. I have no idea what they were talking about.
No.
Just...
There was no replay.
No.
Kendrick couldn't even alert us to what the opportunity was.
The announcers couldn't talk about it later.
Kendrick couldn't say, I want to thank you for the opportunity to have a match with Abyss, if that's what it was. I still don't know what it was.
I believe he said he wanted to wrestle Abyss again. Or Bischoff said that or something. So that's what I imply. That's what I infer was that he wrestled Abyss last week and that's what he was thankful for. But if you miss an episode of Impact, they don't want you to ever tune in again. They want you to leave forever. Mm-hmm. You've betrayed them. So I think
they punish you on the next show.
Yeah, I think this ended. In fact, I know now. I was not sure at the time, but yes, Bischoff booked Kendrick versus Kazarian later.
But I've mentioned this before. Impact is easier to watch if you watch it every other week, because if you watch it every other week and shit doesn't make sense, then you go, well, I missed last week's show. Perhaps that's why it doesn't make sense. Well, the reality is it just doesn't make sense. And if you watch it every week, you realize that, and you go, God damn it, why doesn't anything ever fucking make sense on this show? So I think it's better for people to just watch this show every other week. Actually, it's better to never watch this show at all.
I was going to say, it's better to watch Discovery Channel. So, they went to commercial. When they came back, Eric Bischoff was still on TV. Mm-hmm. Ranting on the phone. I had to watch this twice to figure out what was going on. Something about it being a network decision or something. I don't know. Then Eric Bischoff was in the ring. Mm-hmm. This was the fourth Eric Bischoff segment to open the show, and it was 16 minutes old at this point. He called out beer money. Robert Roode's arm was in a sling. Maybe 2 weeks ago they did an angle with this. I don't remember. They didn't show a replay. There's no way we should... Unless you memorize Impact, you don't know, what happened. He was concerned they would not be able to defend the tag titles, so he's going to strip them of the belts right now. And why is that, Brian?
Because rules are rules.
Rules are rules.
In this fucking company.
Right.
Rules are rules. Except in every fucking segment and match.
So, before Beer Money had a chance to surrender the belts, Alex Shelley came out. He explained that his tag team partner, Chris Sabin, is going to be out with torn knee ligaments until at least 2012.
That sucks.
That fucking sucks. That is shitty news for everyone. So, he offered, since he was available... And Robert Roode is hurt. He offered to team with Storm to defend the tag belts against the British invasion at the pay-per-view. Bischoff said, "Who told you can do that?" Shelley said, "The network." So
what cop-out writing? This is the usual bullshit of, let's write ourselves into a corner. We have no way out, so we'll just say, oh, the network.
Yeah. He wanted to team with James Storm to make a team called, you take half of the machine guns and half of beer money, you get gun money. Which... I think Motor City Beer would have been a better name.
I like Beer Machine.
Beer Machine, that's good too. Beer Machine would have worked. So, Storm handed him a beer. Alex Shelley said off the mic, but we can still hear him, "I hate how this stuff tastes." And he drank a little bit of beer, but mostly just poured it all over his face. Bischoff informed him, "You just made my shit list," and he left. This segment was actually really good.
It was fine.
And Alex Shelley cut a hell of a promo.
It was fine.
This was a win.
Yeah.
Crimson wrestled Matt Hardy. They did show clips of Crimson Twin Streak.
He wrestled cold-blooded
Matt Hardy with the dreaded ice pick finisher. It was a half hour in before the first match started. It was okay. Crimson won, of course. I shouldn't say of course, it's Impact. He won. He's not that good. And it occurred to me here that the two guys and the two biggest companies in America right now getting the strongest pushes are Crimson and Alex Riley.
Yeah.
Wrestling has passed me by.
I will say that it's hard to do anything with Crimson because he's so damn green. But Matt did a pretty damn good job, all things considered.
Yes.
The match was fine. The guy won clean. They're trying to get him over. This is how you do it. A perfectly fine segment. I give it 2 thumbs up.
I absolutely, yes.
Because I am, in fact, a fair man, you see.
It is funny to me that they're hoping to use Samoa Joe to make Crimson a star. But that's the way it goes. If that's what they're going to do, they're doing it right. Oh my god, this segment. Is this one you hated or the other one?
The actual match, but I absolutely hated this segment. But I did not use the word hated 367 times in a row during this segment.
So Ken Anderson still dressed as Sting. He met with Eric Young. They talked about an epic battle. I believe that's the exact words they used. Eric Young had with Gunner. Anderson wants Eric Young to play Muta. Young was reluctant, but he eventually agreed. So later in the show, Eric Young is going to come out dressed as Muta, and they did this here to ruin their own surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Is this that hard?
I hated this segment, largely because...
It sucked. That's why I hated it. It sucked.
It sucked, but I shouldn't even hate it, because I should just have totally given up on TNA by now. But Jesus Christ. Mr. Anderson's in the main event of your next pay-per-view, and he's doing bullshit comedy with Eric Young.
Yes.
It only got worse.
Winter was bitching to Angelina about what Mickey did last week. Something about drawing blood and scarring her for life. We don't know because we missed a show and they didn't show a replay.
No idea what this was about.
So Angelina, the latest step in her gimmick, her new character development, is that she now delivers dialogue in a wooden manner.
Yes.
So then Eric Bischoff was back on TV. It's 2011. Eric Bischoff is everywhere. He was giving a depressed speech to his crew. This segment, I forgot about this. This is one where you just sit back and think, my God, the balls of these people. Eric Bischoff has, Abyss is there, and Matt Hardy and Jarrett's. And Eric Bischoff is talking about the paperwork he's received that he got served, which he never bothered to read until the end of the show.
Of course not.
He says, their idea of what a wrestling company should be and our idea are two different things. Mm-hmm. And then Jeff Jarrett said, they're clueless.
That's what he said. This is a real fucking segment, everybody.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Their idea of a wrestling company and ours.
They think everyone else is clueless.
Yeah.
They think they're the only ones who have a clue.
No shit.
And everyone else in the world is clueless.
Yes. I mean, that has not occurred to you after all these years that they think that they're doing this right?
Stuns me.
They think they're doing this right.
Despite all evidence to the contrary.
Yes.
The problem is with us.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then it ended. Matt Hardy had no idea what was going on.
No, the best part about Matt Hardy standing there is he just had a match with Crimson where he got beat clean in an epic battle. And here we are, 2 minutes later, he's just standing there. Yep. Absolutely nothing had happened.
Sure.
Oh, God.
Miss Tessmacher wrestled Angelina Love.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah. Angelina's body weight is at least 40% saline.
Oh, yeah.
It's they had a match. It was
hypnotizing.
Miss Tessmacher
mesmerizing,
spellbinding. I was sitting there thinking, why again was this woman let go from WWE?
Well,
is there a reason?
I'm sure there were plenty of them.
Well, it was still stupid.
Vinny.
Okay.
Think about this.
Well, just move on.
No, just think about this for a while. First off, think of how long Tiffany lasted.
Okay.
Miss Tessmacher got fired from WWE looking like she does.
Yeah. There had to have been a reason?
There had to have been several.
Fair enough.
It's just, I don't know what it was. Things like this don't happen for no reason.
Okay.
They
Not
don't
in that
just,
company.
They don't just have a girl that looks like Miss Tessmacher and go, we got nothing for you. That doesn't happen.
Because, as a wrestler, she's not very good, but is she any worse than, say, Kelly or the Bellas? No.
Actually, she's not bad in the ring, except for the fact that she completely has no idea how to run the ropes, but that's not a problem exclusive to
Kelly.
her. No, she's better than Kelly at running the ropes.
So Angelina eventually won with the new stupidest move I ever saw. She holds her opponent as if she's about to do a reverse DDT, and then she turns it into a backcracker. So
can't just do a backcracker. You got to do a wacky backcracker.
Visualize this.
A wacky cracker.
She holds her opponent
a backy cracker
face up. She grabs her head and pulls her back, so she's already leaning backwards. So at that point, their back is, close to the mat anyway. Then she drops them onto her knees, which are a good 2 feet above the mat. So basically, the victim of this move drops 8 inches.
The whack cracker.
I'm certain I could do this move to your grandmother and not hurt her.
The wacky backy cracky.
So there you go. Oh, and then after this, by the way, after this stupid move that she went with, then she applied for a beat her up after the match with a cranking sleeper hold, which is a much better finisher.
Yeah.
Then we got a segment.
Mr. Anderson against the not-so-great Muda.
That's what they called him, everyone.
Yeah.
That was their idea of comedy.
By the way, let me repeat. Mr. Anderson is in the main event of the next pay-per-view, which, by the way, is not a TNA B show, which is a show that does 8,000 buys. This is a show that they're going to put a lot of effort into, and so maybe it will draw 15,000 buys. Mr. Anderson is in the main event of that show, and here he is at the top of the hour in a fucking comedy match with Eric Young. Now, he's dressed up as 1989 Sting. Why? I mean, can I at least get, like, a logical explanation for why Mr. Anderson is dressed as a 1989 Sting? Is this tribute supposed to make Sting mad?
I guess.
Is it supposed to make him so angry that he wants to beat up Mr. Anderson on pay-per-view?
I suppose.
You know, if I were Sting, and some guy came out in my 1989 gear with the haircut and the face paint and the whole 9 yards, I'd be flattered.
He's trying to be like me.
I wouldn't be like, boy, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. I'm going to be like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know? So, apparently we're supposed to believe that Sting is just like, he cannot believe the temerity of this man to dress up like 1989 Sting. And by the way, I'm a 35-year-old man. I was in middle school in 1989.
Yeah.
I was in junior high in 1989. I was 14 years old. I'm 35 now. I was 14 when Sting dressed up like this. So they come out.
If you were born the day after Sting dressed like this, you can now legally buy a drink.
Yeah.
21 years.
So they come out here, and Anderson proceeds to have a comedy match.
If you want to call it that.
He goes to one corner, and he runs to the other side of the ring, and he does a stinger splash into the corner with no one there. And he goes, oh, my chest. And then he does the same thing in the other corner and goes, oh, my chest. And then he looks up in the air and he goes, woo, like Sting. And at this point, Eric Young decides this is bullshit.
This is too stupid for me. I am above this.
The guy who, 2 segments earlier, was doing a bullshit comedy segment with Mr. Anderson while wearing 2 belts. Do you remember he had 2 belts, Vinny?
He had 2 belts, and he was talking about an epic battle with a man named Gunner.
Yes. This was too much bullshit for Eric Young. He goes to leave the ring, and Anderson proceeds to slap him.
The guy who wears a shirt saying, I love tag teaming.
So he slaps him. They proceed to have a match, at which point Mike Tenay tells us that we should not underestimate Eric Young's ability. After all the fucking years of bullshit, now we're supposed to take this guy seriously. And then, in the middle of this bullshit match, when I read the spoilers for this, that Eric Young blew mist and won, people tried to defend this bullshit by saying, but there was interference and he used mist. The interference consisted of Gunner running down and distracting the referee. Gunner did not distract Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson kept wrestling. He kept doing moves, at which point Eric Young sprayed mist in Mr. Anderson's eyes, he rolled him up, and he pinned him. Eric Young pinned Mr. Anderson while doing a great Muta gimmick as Mr. Anderson was playing Sting from 1989 en route to Mr. Anderson's title match at the next fucking pay-per-view. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I can't argue.
I mean, this was like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He got pinned by Eric Young. He got pinned by Eric Young when the interference, in fact, was a man named Gunner, who I believe was trying to attack Eric. He was trying to help Mr. Anderson, and he still got pinned.
You know, I've seen a lot of stupid shit on Impact.
Not anymore.
This was dumb, even by Impact standards.
I cannot think of anything worse.
Seriously, somebody find me something dumber than this, because you won't be able to do it. This was like the absolute pinnacle of the stupidity of this company, was this segment right here. This circumcised...
What?
Circumcised? I've given up.
No.
This circumcised every dick angle.
There are some who consider circumcision to be genital mutilation, and that's what this was like.
I just couldn't believe it.
They cut themselves off at the cock.
I just couldn't believe this.
This was amazing.
This literally blew my mind.
They think this will sell pay-per-views.
No, they can't. I mean, really, they can't.
I don't know. That happened, everyone, just as we have described.
That's like a fucking, I won't even say a chapter. That's like part 2 in a Death of TNA book.
That is the book.
The whole book, this segment.
Why TNA died. Mr. Anderson lost to Eric Young in a comedy match.
God damn, this was dumb.
Oh, my God. So, yes, to review.
And this was on the same show that Eric Bischoff did that segment where he explained that they have a view of wrestling.
Their idea of what a wrestling show is not our idea.
At which point, Jeff Jarrett said, they're idiots.
They're clueless.
They're clueless.
They're clueless. Bryan Kendrick wrestled Frankie Kazarian. Hell of a TV match, frankly. Went to a time limit draw.
this fucking thing. They have a match, and it's actually really good. Except for the part where they do this spot where Kazarian goes for his finish. Kendrick grabs the ropes to stop it. And as Kazarian turns around, Kendrick hit him with like the greatest super kick of 2011. And Kazarian goes down like a ton of bricks. Taz is like freaking out about how awesome this looked. Kendrick rushes up top, goes up for a splash, and Kazarian lifts his knees up and then jumps to his feet and starts doing moves. I mean, the most blatant example of no selling that you could even possibly have in a wrestling match he displayed here.
Yeah.
At which point, the bell rang. Because you see, apparently, this was on the new Impact Wrestling show where wrestling matters. This was a number 1 contenders match for the X Division title with an 8-minute time limit.
Yeah.
An 8-minute time limit. An odd number.
Are you sure it was an even minute?
So then,
it may have been 7:34 or something.
For those of you who've watched even like, I don't know, 5 minutes of wrestling in your life, you know that the referees wear earpieces. Well, they bring out the biggest fucking pair of headphones I've ever seen to put on Earl Hebner. Like Alexander Graham Bell used these when he made his first telephone call. These things are like the size of woolly mammoth ears. And they strap these to Earl's head, and Earl has received a message from Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff, the man who hates and wants to destroy the X Division. What does Eric Bischoff rule after this number 1 contenders match? Which, by the way, if he hates the X Division, why did he even sign a number 1 contenders match? Why not just ice the title after Abyss won it?
Why not just fire these men?
So, Eric Bischoff, who hates the X Division, agrees to 5 more minutes. At which point, Abyss ran in and beat up both men and left them for dead.
Yeah. Then he cut a promo into the camera. His new gimmick is that Abyss, the monster Abyss, the inhuman savage, he is now a philosopher. Mm-hmm. He quotes Sun Tzu. Says something about how no nation benefits from prolonged warfare. Word. Then he says, the X Division is dead. And the instant he got to the second D in dead, they cut away.
Of course.
They had to have ODB and Velvet Sky brawl for 7 minutes, but they couldn't give the viewer time to let Abyss's dialogue sink in.
Yeah.
7 minutes of brawling, and they couldn't give us 7 seconds here to reflect on Abyss's wisdom. AJ called out Bully Ray. They jibber-jabber back and forth. Ray called Dreamer a horrible tag partner, and Taz, who I believe is a babyface, just mutters, "That's true." So they told penis jokes for a while.
Yes, in 2011 they compared penis sizes.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up.
That's what happened. AJ challenged him to a last man standing match. Bully Ray gets in the ring, says, "You don't really want that." He finally accepted, and that was it. And
it was fine.
This feud started with Bully Ray putting AJ off the stage with a powerbomb through a table, trying to kill him.
Now they're talking about how big their cocks are.
They're talking about how big their cocks are, and it was a tense conversation, but they are standing in the ring a foot apart away from each other, just talking.
About their dicks.
About their dicks.
So that's a good TNA segment, everybody.
That is the best of TNA right there.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner versus Kurt Angle and Matt Morgan.
It was fun for a while when Angle and Steiner were in there. I enjoyed that.
Sure. And when Angle and Jarrett was in there, it was fine. And Morgan was Morgan. So it did make me laugh, though, that Angle's shooting with Jarrett and Morgan's shooting with Steiner. So each heel was afraid of their respective rival, but not afraid of the other guy. Scott Steiner had no fear of Kurt Angle.
Of course not.
And Jeff Jarrett had no fear of Matt Morgan.
Of course not.
But they feared the other guy. That made me laugh. So during this match, we saw Hogan arriving and reading the paperwork. And then they got to the finish.
This was amazing. Angle and Jarrett are on the stage. Angle puts him in the ankle lock and Jarrett taps. Karen runs out from backstage and grabs Angle in a rear naked choke. He proceeds to just sort of stand there, and so she lets go. That's not the stupidest part of this segment. So she's standing there, and he's yelling at her, and she's backing up, of course, conveniently towards the edge of the stage. And he stalks her, and she backs up, and he stalks her, and she backs up. And finally, Jarrett hits Angle, who bonks into Karen, who disappears behind a pillar on the stage. The cameraman at ringside proceeds to rush up the ramp, which they do all the time. They film the cameraman running through the cameraman's camera view. So just the earth is shaking, and you feel like you're going to vomit. So he's running up the ramp with his camera, and he goes around the pillar, and he points down, and there's a staircase, and Karen is at the bottom, seemingly dead. She fell, you see. And Angle is yelling at Jeff, who's yelling at Angle. Karen is there in a heap. Suddenly, they cut back to the ring, and you see 2, 3.
Yeah. And Scott Steiner has pinned Matt Morgan.
Not only did they miss the finish of the television main event, they missed the 3 count. We only got 2 beats out of 3.
We did not get 1.
Because, you see, it was very important to show 7 minutes of ODB and Velvet Sky brawling. But, on a taped fucking show, they could not make sure that we saw the finish and the 3 count in the television main event. Which, I might add, is setting up a pay-per-view match. That was amazing.
This was like a Hall of Fame impact when I look back on it, as far as just stupid shit.
This is the worst program in the history of the earth, I wrote at this moment. When they missed the fucking finish of the television main event on a taped show! On a taped show.
So, Scott Steiner...
It was taped Monday, everybody.
They had 72 hours to put it together.
Wednesday, and all day Thursday.
Yeah. No, it's good enough, folks. Slap it together.
It's good enough.
Put that shit on the air.
It's good enough.
Fuck you people. So, we're not done yet. There's more. So the match is over. We can now all concern ourselves with the safety of Karen Jarrett. You know who was not concerned? Kurt Angle.
Of course not.
The babyface.
Yeah.
The hero is spending his time scolding Jeff Jarrett.
Yes.
This is what you get.
You stupid son of a bitch.
You stupid son of a bitch for getting... She never should have been involved, Jeff. He thought this was poetic justice.
Yeah.
He thought that this is a lesson to be learned for Jeff. Even as he called out, "That's the mother of my children," he did so in a completely unconcerned manner. What an asshole. What a colossal asshole Kurt Angle was here. Mm. So, Jeff screamed at Kurt. Kurt screamed at Jeff. They put Karen on an ambulance, wheeled her to the back, and Taz and Snee were very concerned for her safety and her condition. And then Hulk Hogan came out. Hulk Hogan came to Impact for the last 5 minutes. So Hogan and Bischoff were in the ring. Bischoff, this had to have been the 74th time he was on TV. He ran down Foley for a while, said he was good at nothing but talking and running around with a sock. Hulk said the paper he held put no fear into him. They cut to a shot of Brooke or his wife, I can't tell. She appeared to be having a ball. No concern at all about the stress that her man was going through. We then got Hulk Hogan attempting to comprehend a legal document, which was funny. I will say this. When he was going through blah, 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 I laughed.
That's what he said, everybody.
Yeah.
He said, the greatest former WWE Intercontinental, blah, 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 blah.
Yada, yada,
Another
yada.
headliner gets the tables, blah, 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 blah. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah. So he finally determined that this document indicated that Mick Foley had been fired. Eric Bischoff was stunned because in the 2+ hours since he had been served, he had not bothered to read the paperwork. He read the paperwork. He determined also that Mick Foley has been fired. He grabbed the microphone and said, "This is the happiest day of my life." And at the F in life, not the E, the F in life, the show ended. Because, you see, we had to see 7 minutes of Velvet and ODB brawling. They had to squeeze Eric Bischoff's line in there and did not have time to show a replay of the finish of the main event. Okay, this is the new worst Impact I ever saw. And I say that even though there's a lot of good wrestling.
Yeah.
This show is shit.
I just love that
This show is wet shit.
They spent so many months building up this big angle, and they finally do the big reveal of Mick Foley as the network executive. Remember how long they kept talking about the network, who's the network exec, and they finally revealed the network executive is Mick Foley. And then they edit the whole segment down from 8 minutes to about 3, so none of it makes a fucking goddamn bit of sense. The very next week, Eric Bischoff is on television, still in control, and then 2 weeks after that, they announce Mick Foley is fired. That is what fucking happened.
Listen, everyone.
Never watch this show.
I need to start a grassroots campaign to convince people to stop watching. People have all sorts of causes. They want to raise money to fight cancer or get supplies to homeless people. No, we need a campaign to get Impact off the air.
Let me say something to all the wrestlers.
This is my charity.
All the wrestlers listening to this right now. Maybe there's some TNA wrestlers listening, and maybe there's some people that are mad. Listen, I realize that you're employed by TNA right now. I realize many people are, but seriously, let this company die, because you know what? Something will spring up for you.
It always does.
It's almost guaranteed. If TNA goes off the air, Spike is going to go, the show did do a 1-1 every week. Wrestling's cheap programming. Let's fucking, somebody will come around. Maybe it'll be Ring of Honor. Maybe it'll be Dragon Gate USA. Maybe it'll just be a new Urban Wrestling Federation. Who knows? Maybe something will spring up out of nowhere. Something's going to come up, and you can get a job there. And you'll like life better. You cannot possibly like life right now. I understand.
You cannot be proud of your work.
I understand the paychecks are cool and all that,
yeah.
but something will spring up. It always does. What is TNA right now? It's WCW, sprung back up again. And if TNA dies, another group is going to spring up, and hopefully these people won't be so goddamn stupid that they hire the same dipshits that killed WCW. That's what you need to hope for, okay? So I don't even feel bad anymore about saying that just let this show die. Let somebody else pick up the pieces and start all over again with a new name and a new writing crew and a new management group. Just let somebody with a clue do this for a while.
Yeah.
Because this is just beyond hope.
This cannot be saved.
This is just so far beyond
salvaged.
Hope. It literally cannot. It is far past the point of no return. There's just no hope for this promotion.
Just let it finish burning to the ground.
It's a disaster.
I'm just going to read these last 2 quotes one more time. Their idea of what a wrestling company should be and our idea are 2 different things. They're clueless.
Yeah.
I can make that up.
All right. We're going to do Impact here momentarily.
Let's just not.
No, let's.
All right.
Really? We're going to watch that god-awful show and then not bury it here on the air?
Are you familiar with the concept of sunk costs? We can't get that time back. Talking about it won't bring that time back.
Yeah, but at least we can exercise these demons.
Well, that's different. But if you think it will...
if we're not going to review it, why the fuck would I even watch it?
My point being that I realize we have watched it, and we watched it so we could review it, but now we watched it, I don't want to review it.
Well, then
perhaps
it's just...
it'll be cathartic.
No, because if we don't review it, then we watched it literally for no reason, which is even more infuriating.
I go back to the concept of sunk costs. The time is lost regardless. That's, whatever, play a song.
The time was lost regardless, but at least we can make something of it.
But we can do something good with the next hour by not talking about it.
Really, what are we going to do if we don't talk about Impact?
I don't care. Talk about anything else. I'll do more math.
Oh, really?
Can I explain to you, do you care why I fucked up?
Actually, I've got to hear this, because when you tried to explain that it involved a decimal point, I was like, I'm doing this in my head.
Yeah.
How did a decimal point even come about?
I went to Google And I typed in 7 million divided by 6,800.
You typed in these words, 7 million DIVIDED.
No, I typed in the numbers. I just typed in 7, 6 zeros, a slash, and 6,800. When you do this, it will do the math for you.
I see.
Now, it popped up 1,029 and then something after the decimal point. But what it says is 1 space 029.411. So when I see 1 space and a 0, my mind processed that as 1 million. And then I saw the decimal point where the comma would have been in between the thousands. And so I read this as 1,029,000.
You typed in 7 million divided by
6,800.
6800.
Yep. Press return.
Okay.
And it should give you the results there.
10,294.1176.
Well, you also misplaced a decimal point somewhere, but yes, that's what happened.
Wait a minute, I misplaced. This is what it says right there.
1029 point?
10,294.1176.
The decimal should be after the 9 and before the 4.
70 million.
I thought it was 7 million.
Oh, it's 7 million. That might explain it.
Maybe that's it.
1029.41176.
Correct. That's where I did wrong, everyone.
And somehow
now,
that space there you interpreted as million?
Somehow I read that as 1 million. I just want to say, this is not an excuse. This is an explanation. This is how I was stupid. It's still my own goddamn fault.
Okay.
I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Well, why don't we do the Facebook update here before we get an impact? Since that is very important. I've learned some facts today.
Dandy.
Yeah. Speaking of Dandy, Dandy Andy is still trailing me by approximately 30 fans.
Ooh, he's catching up, though.
Well, they found another one. There is Andy Levine, the WWE Andy Levine that has 1198. But there's another one that has 1837.
He's just some 8th grader somewhere?
Sure. Well, it's the same guy. It's just a different page.
I see, okay.
And meanwhile, I've got 1877. So, I'm still ahead of Andy Levine by about 30 awesome people. Of course, it's facebook.com/official Brian Alvarez. You can also help me catch up with Lance Storm, who's at 4231. Although I might add that Lance opened his official Facebook page probably a couple of months ago, and I opened my page about 3 days ago. So I'm catching up fast! So there you go. All right, talk about Impact. Come on, let's get this thing over with.
Impact. What the hell are my notes? Impact opened with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff coming out. First thing they did was kill the network angle dead. So the network figured out they were right all along. And they're all going to work together now, and that's pretty much that. Eric Bischoff vowed to treat the X Division with respect. Hogan called out Mr. Anderson and Sting. The crowd was
what he did.
What's that?
What he did was he actually said... First off, he comes out and does his promo, and he's explaining why Foley's gone and the network's behind him, just killing off the angle immediately. And I don't want to hear anybody say that this one is not TNA's fault, because Foley left the company. Reason Foley left this company is 100% TNA's fault. So he's talking about how the network backs them 100%, wrestling matters. And then he says, in 3 days, this world title match... on Sunday is going to be contested in a fair and honest manner. And, quote, I want both of these competitors in the ring right now to make that abundantly clear. At no point did he mention the name Sting or Mr. Anderson. Because, of course, we're just supposed to know who he's talking about. So they came out, and then he did the usual spiel that Vinny's talking about.
The funny thing was he was talking about the new changes, and they talking about the X Division, everybody cheered, and they talked about Impact Wrestling, everyone cheered, where wrestling matters, and everyone cheered. And then Hogan vowed that he was going to handle things professionally, and everyone booed.
Yeah.
Impact fans. So, yes, Sting and Anderson were in the ring. Hogan said he wanted a one-on-one match with, and I quote, no run-ins. Mm-hmm. It's a no run-ins match.
Yeah.
So he finished his spiel basically saying they were going to have a one-on-one match on Sunday. And then Anderson and Sting were given a chance to engage in verbal debate. Anderson explained that he had been treating Sting like a joke because Sting was a joke.
I thought it was a tribute.
Whatever.
Anderson explained that he'd been mocking him. I was like, really? You dressed up like him, you did your hair like him, you wore clothing like him, and you wrestled like him. How was that a mockery?
I don't know. And moreover, even if it is a mockery, why should we care?
I don't know. I can figure that out last week.
Speaking of things we should not care about, Sting vowed to retain the title and then said, as long as he had the title, he has, quote, the power and stroke to make a difference around here.
You know, even if the booking wasn't stupid, even if this show was not idiotic most weeks, even if they did everything right, I would be so sick and tired right now watching this show and having to hear about he who has the title has the power. How long have they been doing this angle?
Oh, God, years.
Have they ever had a single champion who, by virtue of being the champion, had any power whatsoever?
No.
Because I cannot think of a single fucking time. I hear this on every goddamn show. He who has the title has the power. Meanwhile, who has the power on every show? The heels.
Bischoff.
All the time.
Yes.
Bischoff and Hogan have the power, except for the couple weeks that they didn't have the power, but they dropped that angle flat. So, really, if I never hear the term, he who has the title has the power again, it will be too soon. I am so sick of this stupid angle.
And moreover, beyond whatever power the title has, when Sting said he could make a difference, how?
I don't know.
What difference is he making that with the belt that he cannot do without it?
What difference has he made since he won the championship? I can't think of a single difference he's made in this company.
Maybe
He had no power over the Foley thing.
No.
He had no power over the no Foley thing.
He didn't bring in the blue ropes.
He's got no power over anything. So what does this have to do? I don't get this.
It's stupid. Keep in mind, everyone, this is the good part of the show. So Sting then turned to Hogan, and he cuts a promo about how he wants the old Hulk Hogan back. The Hulk Hogan that, all the fans bought his T-shirts and his action figures. The Hulk Hogan that the wrestlers in the back used to look up to. And he said the problem was Bischoff, and he told Hogan to take a scalpel and cut out the cancer before it's too late. And he said this in relevance to Eric Bischoff, at which point Mike Tenay replied, and again I quote, "Sounds to me like Sting is trying to drive a wedge between Hulk Hogan and Eric." Astute. Very astute.
Investigator. Tara and Mickie James against Zombie Girl Angelina and winner. This match.
This is not good.
And keep in mind, this was the good half of the show. The only good thing about this was that Angelina pinned Mickie to set up Mickie defending the title against Angelina on Sunday. The finish at least made sense. On paper, good job. In execution, I don't know who the agents are right now, but if they're getting paid, it's a robbery. They should be paying TNA for unleashing this shit upon television. You have a match, 4 girls, and strike one, Angelina, who is the heel, gets in the ring and points to Mickie, "I want her." She challenges the babyface. At which point, what happens? Well, Mickie just stays on the apron. Strike one! Strike two, Mickie finally gets in the ring, and they lock up, and Angelina hits a knee to the gut, and they get the heat.
I must cut you off even there. Mickie only came in when Angelina was on the ground, and she came in and they did a double team. She was only willing to fight Angelina with a 2-on-1 advantage when Angelina was already down.
And then when it was 1-on-1 straight match, the heel kneed the babyface in the guts and got the heat.
Right.
So, no cheating.
No.
The heel just out-wrestled the babyface.
And then, I have no idea what Mickie and Winner were trying to do, but they failed.
Oh, they failed
this spot,
mightily.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what they were trying to do, but it was a disaster.
They grabbed hands for like an Irish whip, and they did about 4 reversals, and then Winner just took a back bump.
Yeah.
And I remind you, everyone, this show is not taped. Or this show is taped. It's not live.
So Mickey's about to get the hot tag. Madison comes out and yanks Tara off the apron. At which point, Angelina grabs Mickie, backcracker, clean pin. What a career move Mickie James made. So, there you go.
Yeah.
Everything could possibly be wrong with putting a match together in the ring. This achieved.
We had Gun Money having a meeting backstage. Bobby Roode, who I ordinarily like, was pretty lousy here. He was trying to explain how frustrated he was being hurt and not being able to wrestle, but he came off just like a guy who didn't have anything to say. So Storm assured him everything would be okay. Alex Shelley was going to, come through and save the day, and the belt will be waiting for him when he get back. And then he led them in a cheer of, "Whoa, Bundy!"
Mm-hmm.
This is a reference to a show called Married with Children, which went off the air long before many of our listeners were born.
Yeah.
97, I believe, is when it went off the air. Mexican America cut a promo. I don't know what they said. Then we got a segment. What were you thinking when you said the first 45 minutes was good? There was nothing good on the show.
I don't know now that I think about
What
it.
the hell were you thinking? Okay, here's what happened. I'll tell you what happened. It doesn't take too long. It doesn't sound too bad. Samoa Joe and Crimson got in a brawl in a bar somewhere. Fine. Strike one, it was recorded on a cell phone.
Yes.
No,
We need some realism.
Yeah, they were trying to say, this was unplanned and unscripted. No discussion of where the bar was or why Crimson and Samoa Joe were in the same place at the same time. Of all the places in this country that's happening in the same bar. And yes, they had cell phone footage. It was completely unwatchable. All you saw was shaking like you wanted to vomit, and then Joe and or Crimson would flash on the screen, and then there would be more shaking. And that was actually the good part, because the audio of this, they bleeped out every swear word, and I believe the swear words came whenever anyone in the bar exhaled. This was terrible and chaotic. I'll see if I can find it on YouTube and send you the link, and you can play it on the air. You'll understand.
Actually, you want me to play the audio of
if you
this
have the
segment?
audio, play the audio, because the audio was, well, not the best part, but...
Patriots?
Is this a good representation?
It was actually worse. This at least... That's at least a droning white noise. When you have this interrupted by sporadic shouts...
Ah! Ah!
Come here!
Oh!
Ooh, look at that!
Ah! Oops.
And then astronauts.
Actually, there was the random right there. Oh, this segment sucked.
This was so fucking bad.
God awful.
Jeff Jarrett arrived. They asked him
God, I
questions
gotta
about...
talk more about this segment, how god awful it was. First off, we said this a million times. You are aware, if Vince Russo happens to be listening right now, you are aware that you can do a second take. You are aware that you can say, "Hey guys, let's do this again, but everyone in the bar and Joe and Crimson, nobody say any naughty words. Just fight." You know you can do that. Infuriating segment. Proceed.
All right, Jeff Jarrett arrived. He refused to answer any questions.
From the worst actor I've ever heard. Hey,
Yeah,
Jeff.
that was...
Hey,
yeah.
Jeff, we'd like to ask you some questions.
Which, again, if this was real, why would you air footage of a guy refusing to answer questions?
Why would you have the cameraman acting as the guy asking him the fucking questions?
I don't know. Okay, then something amazing happened. There was a good segment.
Well,
Relatively.
this was
The tag match?
Well, here's what happened. It was Shelley and Storm against Anarchia and Hernandez. Now, problem number one. They have Doug Williams and Brutus Magnus there at the announcer's table to observe the match because they're getting a title shot on Sunday. Now, maybe I'd watch that and I'd think, why are they getting a title shot on Sunday? Maybe I'd think that. TNA actually made this even worse by having Taz immediately note, you guys haven't won many matches lately. And in fact, you haven't even wrestled much. So why in God's name are these men getting a title shot? So they have a match, and Shelley and Storm are known as Gun Money. Because, of course, these writers are too fucking stupid to even think that in the team of Beer Money, Storm is the beer guy and Roode is the money guy. So, Beer Machine, maybe? Which to me sounds better than Gun Money, but I don't know, it's just me. So, Storm gets a hot tag, he runs wild. Shelley hits a tope. Storm hits a backcracker. Girls take the ref. Storm spits beer in their face. Shelley then gets in the ring and tries to super kick Anarchia and accidentally hits James Storm, allowing Anarchia to get the pin. So again, right finish. Actually, it's not the right finish. It's not even the right finish. I actually, at the time, I thought, hey, right finish. They're setting up the tag match on Sunday. Only to realize Anarchia and Hernandez are not getting a title shot on Sunday. The British Invasion is getting a title shot on Sunday. Anarchia and Hernandez are not. And in their first match ever, Shelley already fucked up and cost Storm the win.
Okay. I thought the title match on Sunday was a 4-way. With Mexican America and Inc. already in there.
Didn't Anarchy ask why they weren't getting a title shot later in the show?
You did. That's why I was confused about that segment. Huh. Well, that does change things. Well, the idea, though... Because
I find out what the goddamn fucking match is.
I assume Shelley and Storm are winning on Sunday. So the idea of showing...
nothing.
True, but... I didn't mind them fucking up their first match because it was their first match together. They don't have the same chemistry other teams do. And we don't know if Beer Money can trust Alex Shelley or not. So, that I was fine with all that. Well, you look at that match.
I can't even find a goddamn card for this.
Well, it's TNA. It's still TNA. You change the name, it's still TNA. Mr. Anderson had a meeting with Gunner. Anderson was a complete douche. Gunner put up with it. They came to some kind of understanding. Kurt Angle walked around. Not making that up. That's all that happened. Then we have the segment.
British Invasion versus James Storm and Alex Shelley.
That's it.
That's it.
That does make no sense then why Mexican America would win here. You would think you would do some kind of... They could have done a million things and done the same finish, but have British Invasion win. Could have made a 6-man or an 8-man or even singles, but whatever. So, Mexican America stormed into Hogan's office. They demanded to know why they didn't have a title shot. He told them to fuck off. A very long Kurt Angle Jeff Jarrett video. The highlight of this was Angle saying that every time Jarrett beat him, it was dirty. And then we saw Jeff reversing a cradle and pinning Kurt clean.
As they said this was the best part. Literally, as Kurt is saying that he has never beaten me without outside interference, literally as he's saying that, they have a shot of Jeff Jarrett pinning him with a cradle clean. It was amazing.
So after showing all this, the point of this was these two men hate the fuck out of each other and they're going to fight to the death on Sunday. Immediately after showing this, the two men came to the ring to talk it out.
Yeah, chit-chat.
Jarrett said Karen wouldn't be there on Sunday. Then, oh God, the show. This show was awful. This show was horrendous. After this, Jarrett turns to Kurt Angle, his arch rival, whom he is going to fight to the death with in 72 hours, and starts to kiss his ass.
You're the best wrestler.
You're the best in-ring wrestler I've ever seen. Yeah. WWE made a huge mistake letting you go. I was happy to step aside and let you be the centerpiece of this company.
Which was hilarious, by the way, because Kurt, of course, has always claimed, oh, they didn't let me go. I quit.
Yeah, so then he said Kurt wasn't grateful. So Jeff started taking all his stuff. He took his wife. He took his kids. Then he decided he had to become a better wrestler than Kurt. And then said the only thing he left to do was take the gold medal, which I had completely forgotten was on the line. So I guess if I cared about that, I would care about this. So Kurt said, thank you for taking Karen out of my life. He rambled on for a bit, and then it ended. Didn't even say anything important.
I like that I thought it was a great segment, actually, as far as both guys giving a reason to want to fight each other. Although, this should have been like the first...
This should have been done 4 months ago.
The beginning of the fucking feud to set up a wrestling match, as opposed to doing a bunch of stipulation matches, including cage matches and everything else, and it culminates in a wrestling match.
And maybe not standing face to face, calmly discussing it like rational human beings.
Mm-hmm. I'm so mad at you that we're gonna grapple. You nearly killed my wife, but by God, I want to put you in a hold. Stupid.
It was, however, a million times better than the next segment.
I thought this segment was awesome.
In all, until the day I die, I will never understand why anyone would ever, ever, ever cheer for this, I was going to say woman, this thing called ODB. She was ranting on about Velvet Sky and how phony she is and how she hates makeup and false eyelashes and whatever. Meanwhile, she's wearing makeup and colored contact lenses and has enormous fake tits.
Yeah.
I think she said it's not about fake tits either, did she? She may have. I don't know.
I know that Velvet actually used the term, quote, fake tits on the show.
That's what she said, yes.
Yeah. Midget is banned, but fake tits is okay.
That's fine in my life, too. So, ODB said that her conclusion to this promo was, Velvet, I'm going to show you what wrestling is all about. Then she grabbed her fake tits.
You forgot bitch.
I stand corrected. I'm going to show you what wrestling is all about, bitch.
Yes.
And then she grabbed her giant fake boobs and shouted, "Bam!
Boom!"
That is what wrestling is about, apparently, is fake boobs.
I laughed so hard I watched this 3 times, and it concluded with somebody whose name I should probably not mention because, not that there's anyone else in the house, but she said, "Is that a guy?" At which point you responded, and this is a quote which you can confirm you actually
Absolutely,
said.
yeah.
"I would do many guys before I do her,"
I stand by that claim.
said Vincent Aaron Verhey on June 10, 2011.
Yeah.
That's what we said, everybody.
And
now I just said it, goddammit. Now we're going to get drops.
Whatever. Don't care. I'm not denying it. I haven't changed my mind. Oh my God, the show. I just saw the next segment. What on earth made you say the first 45 minutes is good?
I don't know. I was wrong.
Kazarian and Kendrick were playing, I don't know, Scooby-Doo or Ghostbusters. They were going backstage trying to find Abyss. They had a stick. They're talking about how he lit people on fire and put himself in barbed wire and shot his dad. Kendrick said Abyss was his type of guy. That was it.
They were on a search.
What in the fuck is happening?
I don't know. This was writing. The segment was written,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Bully Ray came down to the ring, said he wanted a tune-up match for AJ, so he challenged anyone except Devon. Because Bully Ray apparently is the only man in the company who remembers how that feud was very hot, and they just yanked the rug out from under it. So RVD accepted. They had a match. At a point in this match, they cut to AJ Styles in the stands. Standing there, leaning against a guardrail, staring at the ring. After showing him, like a minute later, fans started to cheer. It was like a slow, gradual cheer. People did not realize it was a wrestler or a star.
It appeared to be a fan.
Just a guy. Just taking the show. So eventually he distracted Bubba.
No, he didn't. He didn't even distract him. He just stood there.
Well, Bubba saw him.
Yeah.
Bubba noticed him. And then declared he was not getting inside my head. And then RVD ran wild and hit the 5-star frog splash and pinned Bubba Ray.
You know the best part of this was? These people are so goddamn stupid. If you're going to do a distraction finish, then the distraction must lead to the finish. You know? Mm-hmm. First off, this finish was stupid. But let's just say that you want Bubba to be distracted by AJ to lead to the finish. Okay, so AJ distracts Bubba. Bubba is looking at him and yelling at him and not paying attention to his opponent. And his opponent sneaks up behind and cradles him and pins him. He catches him off guard. Of course, that's not what happens in TNA. AJ comes out and distracts Bubba. So Bubba starts yelling at him as RVD is downselling. Does RVD get up and cradle him? Of course not. Bubba yells at AJ for a while, and then he goes over and he picks up RVD. He's back in control. And he picks up RVD and he sets him up for a pile driver. So he's right back where he was before any distraction occurred. He has not missed a beat. And at that point, RVD gives him a backdrop. Then RVD goes up top and hits frog splash for the pin. So the distraction in no way led to this finish. And RVD pinning Bully Ray was supposed to set up Bully Ray versus AJ at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Rob's not on the show, is he?
I don't think so.
I don't know who it will be against.
Preposterous.
Velvet cut a promo.
This was where she said fake tits.
She did not deny that she had fake tits. She made fun of ODB for constantly scratching her crotch. She made fun of ODB for what she says, and then she just looked in the camera and said, and I quote, lame.
Yeah.
She understated it, but she was right. Showed footage of Kurt Angle visiting amateur wrestlers in the UK. They talked about how he's going to try out for the Olympics.
At 43.
This is a fool's errand. There's nothing that can come here. All right, I'm just going to read my next bit of notes here verbatim. This is in all caps, by the way. Kendrick and Kazarian find Abyss, who is reading. They stand there and listen. Abyss does his monologue, challenges them to a match. Kazarian and Kendrick debate his motives. This is the worst build to a match ever.
You know what happened in this segment? They find him. He starts reading from...
Actually, no, that's not true. He found them.
All right, fine. He found them.
He jumped out behind them.
He starts reading from Art of War. talks about the X Division being dead, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, after reading for like an hour, he challenges them to a three-way at the pay-per-view. And at this point I wrote, yes, the heel challenged two men. No sooner do I write that than Frankie Kazarian is like, this guy's an idiot. He just challenged the two of us. Yes. No shit. The fucking idiot is the guy who wrote this fucking thing.
This is a terrible show. Oh my god. How close were we to the end?
Well, ODB and Velvet went about 6 hours.
ODB, they said, is not officially under contract, so she gets no entrance. She
was
goes
not
outside.
allowed to come down the ramp, they said, and she got no music because she's not under contract.
She just gets to wrestle on national television for, as you know, it is 6 hours.
Yes.
These two girls kicked the fuck out of each other. There was a point where I was certain it was on. There was no working left anymore, and things calmed down. So somewhere in this 6 hour ordeal, the announcers needed something to talk about. They opted to discuss the Impact Wrestling fantasy game. And I had not done this before, but I happened to go to the Impact Wrestling fantasy page and look at some of the scoring. And so the idea is you pick a crew of wrestlers, and whenever your crew does something, you get points, and whoever gets the most points wins. Fine. Here are some of the ways you can get points. Appearing in a match, 5 points. Clothesline, which is spelled Closeline. Clothesline. That's only 1 point. First person or group of people to enter the impact zone, 10 points. Getting the pinfall, 1 point.
Because wins and losses don't matter.
Hitting a referee, 20 points. You can pin 20 men or hit one ref. In-ring mic session, 10 points. Interrupting a match, 10 points. Referee getting hit, 20 points. Turning on an ally, 10 points.
Of course.
Using a chair in a match, 3 points. Using a rare object in the ring.
Rare object?
That's what it says.
A dodo bird?
A red steak.
Fuck.
10 points. Oh my god, this show. This is everything.
What's amazing about this is they went out of their way during this match to start talking about the TNA fantasy game, to plug it. I guess because they're hoping it will make a little money. How about plugging your fucking pay-per-view?
I don't know. Involved in a non-scheduled fight outside the ring, 10 points. Kidnapping an audience member, 10 points. Repeat this. Kidnapping an audience member. Yeah. They are endorsing flagrant illegality.
This show sucks.
This show can lick my balls.
So, Velvet is getting beaten on repeatedly for hours. And then finally she just grabs ODB and DDTs her and pins her.
Well, no wonder ODB's not under contract. She sucks.
Stupid match. Stupid. Everything about this. Stupid.
Eric Young and Sting had a meeting. Sting wants Eric to put aside the comedy for one night and be a superstar. Then Eric made a lame joke. Sting rolled his eyes, looked to the heavens for help, and walked away in exasperation. Sting somehow is channeling us.
They had an awesome deal here where...
Is that what you want to call it?
They had clips from Explosion. What is Explosion, you ask? Well, for the 8 of you that watch it, no explanation is necessary. For the rest of you, it's a internet show, and it also airs overseas. So they shot an angle on this, and the good news is they show the angle on television here. The angle was Mexican America beating up Devon, and the Pope made the save. Fascinating. So they show us this thing, and I'm like, at least they showed it to us, because, Devon's going to do an interview next, so it's good that they showed us this so that the interview there would be context to the interview. So, let me repeat. The angle is that Mexican America is beating up Devon, and the Pope makes a save. Devon then proceeds to cut a promo in an alternate universe, where he begins to speak of how him and the Pope are totally fine outside the ring. But he's not happy with Pope trying to bring his kids and his family into this. Segment over. What in the fuck did that have to do with what they showed us?
I gotta read my own notes again here. This time they're not in all caps. I was very calm about this, but it just says, I don't have any idea what's happening with Pope and Devon.
I have no idea.
I still don't.
They showed an angle where the Pope saved Devon from an attack by Mexican America, which led to Devon cutting a promo about him and Pope being friends outside the ring, but he's not happy with Pope trying to bring his kids and family into this. What kids? What family? What the fuck? Is this a time machine angle from 8 months ago? What in God's name does that have to do with anything?
Why would anyone watch this program?
And then the main event. Jesus Christ. Gunner and Anderson against Sting and Eric Young. So, the one good thing I'll say about this is Anderson avoided Sting early. Sting turns his back, and Anderson, from behind, gives him a rabbit lariat for the heat. At least 2 fucking people on this entire goddamn show understand how to get the heat on a babyface.
You know what? No. This had to be all Sting's idea.
Of course, probably.
One man had an idea.
Sure. So they do the match. Heat on Sting. He tags Eric Young. Eric Young gets in and runs wild. Gunner ends up getting behind him, shoving him. Eric Young bonks into Sting and falls out of the ring. The bonk counts as a tag. Gunner, everybody, pulls Sting into the ring and gives him an F5, and Gunner pins Sting. Gunner pinned Sting to set up Sting versus Anderson for the title on Sunday. I don't even know what to say. And then, after it's over, after Gunner pinned Sting to set up Sting versus Anderson for the pay-per-view, Sting pie-faced Eric, and the moment his hand touched Eric's face, they cut away and went to commercial.
Unfortunately, they came back after the commercial.
Now it was time for reactions.
Oh my God, this segment. So, Sting's walking away pissed off. He still wants Eric Young to forget the comedy. Eric said that they had won. He said he thought Sting turned into Gunner, and they played Gunner's music. So, yes, the gimmick is that he's a fucking idiot. AJ told us the plan was coming together. We then saw... This is, for the third time I will quote my notes because this is true. We saw a 3-second clip of Sting doing something.
Yeah.
We saw Anderson laughing at Sting for losing. And by the way, at least when Gunner pinned Sting, the announcers reacted in shock and tried to put it over as a Giants deal. They called it the biggest win of his career, a career-changing moment. They thought this was important. 10 minutes later... Anderson informs us that Gunner's not as good as Sting.
No, he's not even in the same universe as Sting.
This show. So he's burying Gunner, laughing at Sting. He sees Sting coming his way, and he leaves.
And by the way, before we even conclude this program, in the match, Gunner pinned Sting. Sting has been humiliated. Now let's just pretend this is not stupid. Let's pretend that somehow there are some people that watch Gunner pinning Sting and decide, God damn it, I'm going to buy this show to see Sting get his revenge on Anderson. Let's just say that such people actually exist. Now, they don't. But let's just say that there are a couple people out there that see Gunner pinning Sting and decide that now they must pay on Sunday to see Sting get his revenge on Mr. Anderson. Tell us what happened at the end of the show, Vinny.
So Anderson's getting a promo burying Gunner and Sting. He sees Sting coming. He apologizes to the interviewer and leaves. We then see Sting give chase to Ken Anderson through the Impact lot. Poor Sting.
They ran so slow.
Yeah. And it's funny.
You ever seen those conveyor belts at the airport? They were walking backwards on those.
They may have been. You know, after last week's angle with Eric Young dressed as the Great Muta, people have been posting the YouTube links to really awesome Sting and Muta matches from the late 80s, early 90s. And you forget, because, frankly, it's been 2 decades, but Sting was once an unbelievable athlete.
Yeah.
Just astounding, astonishing man. God bless Sting, but he's lived a hard 20 years since then. And watching him run like he was on a dead sprint, it was sad to watch. But Anderson could not escape.
No, I couldn't.
Anderson went into his trailer. Sting went in there, too.
What a great plan, by the way. I'm being chased by an angry man backstage in a giant building. So what I'm going to do in full view of the man chasing me is I'm going to go into the smallest trailer I can find. That was his plan.
That was his escape route. So they had a short brawl. Sting won. So he put him over a table or a desk. It didn't break. I don't think it was a desk, so it wouldn't have broken. But then we saw that Sting had paint. Mm-hmm. That's one of the 3-second clip of Sting doing something. He was grabbing his face paint. He took some red paint out. He put it on his own face. And he put it on Anderson's face, screaming, "So you want to be the Stinger?" Then he said, "Get up." And he grabbed Anderson, and he attempted to choke him to death.
Mm-hmm.
He put on a rear naked choke, which will in fact kill a man. And he held it on for like 20 seconds. Then the show ended.
Yeah.
This is the worst show of all time.
Sting,
it had to be.
In the final seconds of the go-home show, after losing to Gunner in the main event to set up Sting versus Anderson for the title of the pay-per-view, Sting found Anderson. He beat him in a foot race. He beat the shit out of him. He got his revenge. He painted him up like a clown. And then he choked him to death. And that was your go-home angle for a pay-per-view headlined by Sting versus Anderson for Sting's title. And Sting's the babyface, everybody. You know, I've seen a lot of bad go-home shows in my day. If you go back and listen to past episodes of this program before TNA go-home shows, I've seen a lot of real bad ones. But this may, in fact, and perhaps some people can point to an example of when they had a dumber go-home show, because I wouldn't put it past them.
Lord knows it's possible.
I would not put it past them. But honest to God is my witness, as Craig is praying for me, I think this was the worst go-home show in the history of professional wrestling.
I can't think of anything else.
When you look at the finishes up and down this show and the way that they set up all of these matches, and keep in mind, this is like one of their A show pay-per-views, because last month I think was a B show. I could be wrong. But this has to be like on the all-time list of worst go-home shows ever. Like ever in the history of this business in any fucking company. Like, I challenge you to find a go-home show worse than this one. Just pure shit. I had a great day and then watched Slammiversary, so it could have been better, but I've seen worse TNA pay-per-views, I will say that.
Oh, that's really praising it.
Well, I'm doing the best I can.
Oh, that Kazarian match. Oh, my God.
That was a disaster.
I had that with a stick watching that match.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even the worst match on the show. That match was just the one that, just to me, like, it made no sense whatsoever. I'm just watching this, and I was just in disbelief.
What did you think was the worst match on the show?
The worst match on the show? Either Angelina Love and Mickie James or Samoa Joe and Crimson.
I gave it to Joe and Crimson, I believe.
That match was really bad.
That match was horrible.
Yeah. Well, this was the one, where you had to find out if Crimson was going to make it or not, and unfortunately he's just too green. And the people don't buy him, and that's you can give him a winning streak all you want at this point. The other problem is this was a show where probably the number one thing when I was watching it is like, they got to get out of the impact zone for these pay-per-views. And I know they can't afford to, and they're not going to, but it was like these people have been so burned out by TNA that, like, there's nothing that these people can give them, because they know that nothing matters. Like, if they go somewhere else, what they're going to get is like what they got in, like, I think when they went to Cincinnati, where you get, fans who come who are fans from 10 years ago and want to see the stars from WCW, and they're not into any of your angles, don't know any of your new guys, and it's bad. And they're going for a nostalgia show. That's a bad deal when you don't have any of your own fans. But that's what happens on the road too. But here, like with the fans who know the angles, they just don't care. And I don't blame the fans. I blame the promotion for just doing all this stuff. But like with the championship at stake and these near falls, like they know the championship is bullshit. They know the stipulations are bullshit. They know it's all bullshit. They don't even suspend their disbelief. You know, they'll sit there and, you know, I mean, if the match is really spectacular, they'll do the "this is awesome," and they did, you know, during a couple of the good matches. But I mean, it's so hard to get them. I mean, even like Jarrett and Angle, you know, who've been feuding for months, and have been a pretty decent feud, but within the context of the show, it doesn't matter. I mean, those guys were like, it was like pulling teeth to get the crowd to react in that match. They did, because they had a really good match, but oh my God, it was. I think that the audience was just.
Well, the problem, there were a couple of problems there. Number one, I mean, you did, I mean, granted, you know, looking at the lineup on paper, one would think, okay, well, Angle and Jarrett's going to be the best match on this show, and it actually didn't end up being, but you know, on paper it did.
It was the second best. Though.
Sure, yeah. So you think, okay, well, let's put it last on the show here, but then, you know, when you look at a show that's got like a last man standing match, and even like the Sting Anderson match, they brawled all over through the crowd and everything like that, and you do all of this crazy stuff and this dive off this giant deal, and then the main event is like a wrestling match in the ring. It's kind of like, well, you know, what were you really expecting here? Not to mention...
Yeah, but it wasn't like any of them. I mean, you know, all the matches had trouble.
Well, sure, but some had. I mean, listen. The other problem is the match itself. If you've been following the storylines, it's like, okay, these guys have wrestled 100 times. You know, the kids have been on the line. They've been in cages. They've done mixed tags. You had China there, and now again, here we are. It's just a wrestling match for medals. Everybody knows it doesn't matter. Everybody knows that's bullshit as well. And again,
I mean, that's the problem is when the stipulations, when you know the stipulations don't mean anything, when you know the ramifications don't mean anything. It's like with Sting and Anderson when they were out there for the World Championship. I mean, it was like people didn't buy that this World Championship meant a thing.
Of course not.
You know, I mean, it was like when like that deal. I thought that if the put it this way, if the promotion had been what's the word I'm looking for? It was a decent promotion, I guess the best way to put it. That had been booked decently. I think that spot with Eric Bischoff and Jackson James where he hit the mat and like what happened was they did a near fall. Sting, I think it was Scorpion Death Drop on Mr. Anderson, and Sting's got him pinned. And Eric Bischoff jumps in the ring, or not all the way in the ring, but it's near where Eric Bischoff is. He's at ringside. And Jackson James hits a 1. Eric Bischoff hits a 2. Jackson James hits what's actually a 2. Sting gets up thinking it's a 3, but it's only a 2 because he had heard the Eric Bischoff thing. I actually thought that was really brilliant, but it doesn't matter because they've seen so much bullshit that they just go, oh, this is another piece of bullshit. There was no reaction to it. Like, nobody felt when it was over that Sting got screwed, because you can't have a strong... This is the thing. You can't have a strong emotion that Sting got screwed when it doesn't matter anyway. So they didn't care.
See, I had a different... I mean, it was creative what they did, but the problem was... Actually, you know what? Let's start at the beginning here. Just talk about this show. Let's go over the matches one by one. We'll get into the Sting here in a second. It opened up with Alex Shelley and James Storm against the British Invasion for the tag team titles. We never talked about Impact, but I thought Impact on Thursday was just a god-awful, preposterous show. And
for the most part, I'd say it's about 80% bad, yeah.
Yeah. When they had the British Invasion out to do commentary for that match on Impact, and Taz just flat out says, you guys haven't won very many matches lately, and you haven't even been on TV. It's just like, you know, Taz is like, I don't even know how to describe Taz, except he's like your average fan who just, you know, describes all of the bullshit that we're watching.
Well, I mean, it's like you can tell the difference between Taz when he first got there and Taz now. It's like he's just out there, you know, just trying to keep himself entertained, and it's like no hope for the product. When he first came, I think that, you know, he was like really into the fact, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, they had some really, really good matches, and it was new talent and things like that, and I think that Taz was really excited to, you know, like all the guys that get out of WWE.
Everybody's excited when they start.
Yeah. They I think that the feeling is that, oh God, you know, you're in WWE and it's so miserable working there. So this is like, you know, the whole deal where, you know, the schedule is easier and the pressure isn't there, and you first get there and it's like so much of a better environment at first, but then all of a sudden you realize that the commitment to excellence is not there. The commitment to good isn't even there. It's just terrible. And then you just realize that the whole thing's just a joke, and you lose your motivation. And Taz is just out there. Taz can be a good announcer. He was a really good announcer when he first started there, and now he's just kind of saying stuff to crack himself up.
So a really good opening match, I'll say that. Robert Roode was there doing commentary with a six-pack of beer, so good man. Storm and Shelley ran wild, Storm, Shelley, and Doug Williams, obviously. Whenever they were in there together, it was pretty good stuff. Brutus Magnus has improved, but he's still very green, and he hasn't been working a lot on television, so,
Or anywhere.
Or anywhere, really, yeah. So they did a bunch of near falls at the end, perhaps too many for an opener. They did the old Storm tried to spit beer, but he accidentally hit his own partner, and then his partner was blinded, and he super kicked Storm, and all of this led to not the finish. They ended up winning anyway. So I have no idea why they even did the spot. That's 2 matches in a row. The only two matches.
They did it to make it a swerve.
That's 2 matches. The only 2 matches they've ever had together. They've done this now.
Yeah, they have to do that. That's the other thing is this feeling that you have to do every single thing you can come up with in your finish, and the problem with that is that then you run out of things to do, and like that one, like that's a nice spot. It really and they it's a nice spot, timed well. Save it for when you need it.
Sure.
It had nothing. It didn't help this match, especially to do it in the opener. It's like it didn't make the match better. It probably took an edge off the match a little bit, but it was another layer in their mind, and I don't know. It was that's what it was. I don't know. It was just like I'm watching it, just like you don't need it, but that's how that's what they think is you got to show all your cards, so to speak. Any idea you got, throw it out there.
We had Scott Steiner doing some curls backstage, and he cut a nutty Scott Steiner promo, which led to Steiner and Morgan. And, well, first off, if I were booking, Steiner and Matt Morgan is not a match I would put together unless I had no other options. Second, if I had to put it together, I'd say, you guys got 3 minutes, maybe 4. How long did this go?
9.5.
Oh, my God. What a 9.5 minutes we were witness to.
I don't know why. Again, this is the thing. They don't have that feeling. There's no instinct of what's good and what's bad. It's like the opener had 11. This had 9.5. The opener could have gone 15 and probably been better, and this one could have gone 5 and would have been better.
Like, what person in their right mind thinks that Scott Steiner and Matt Morgan need 9 minutes?
Well, I think that they felt that since this, that they've been building it up and building it up and building it up, they have to give it at least the minimum time to have a match.
Well, they thought
and
wrong.
I think that's kind of like in their mind the minimum.
Really? These people, that's the minimum? Most matches are 2 minutes.
Not pay-per-view matches.
Yes, this did not.
The pay-per-view matches, they usually give 10 minutes. So that's I think that's kind of like how they book, like kind of 10 minutes and work from there. Like if you need a little more, you get a little more. If it's not quite good, you take a little away.
They did a series of maneuvers. That's all I can say at the finish. I don't know what the maneuvers were. Some of them were botched. It was kind of a mess. Scott Steiner actually did a victory roll in this match, I swear to God. And then finally, after some moves, Morgan hit his jumping kick for the pin. I have seen worse matches, but
there were a lot of matches in the show that were worse than this. But this was
bad.
Yeah, it was bad. Not horrible bad, but bad. Yeah.
We had Jarrett cutting a promo, his usual promo. He'd taken Kurt's wife, he'd taken his kids, taken his integrity. All that was left were the medals. And, personally, I never won an Olympic medal, but I would think the kids and the wife and such would be more important than my medal.
Maybe not, though.
Well,
I guess it's Kurt.
That's true. That's true.
And Kurt's going to come and win another medal, right?
That's his plan. Abyss, Kazarian, and Kendrick for the X title. Good
I just
God
hated
Almighty.
This match. I can't tell you how much. I've hated this feud ever since it started because it's just Kazarian was so not over. And he was over by the gravitational pull of Beer Money and Styles, who's part of the cool group, and he was getting somewhere. And this feud has just killed this man dead. And then the way they booked the match, I mean, it was a 12-minute match, and for the first 11 minutes, it was a handicap match with two baby faces against one heel, which, as you can imagine, and the baby faces being mostly ineffective against the heel.
Oh, yeah.
So it turns the heel baby face, except the crowd didn't even want to cheer for Abyss either, but they certainly weren't going to cheer for Kazarian and Kendrick, nor should they, nor would you want to. So you basically had no heat at all.
Yeah, this is one of those things where when people blame the Impact Zone, it's kind of like, what the fuck do you expect the people to do in a match?
No. This was a psychological disaster.
Exactly, and that kills the crowd. They just sat there watching this thing, and it's like, okay, so you got two, as you said, two baby faces attacking one heel. The heel is holding his own and beating them up. I mean, this was like, Andre the Giant used to do this with like two jobbers, and we saw this.
I was thinking this is like I'm watching one of these old Andre the Giant matches, except these, and I mean, Kendrick isn't even a star by any means, and Kazarian isn't either. I mean, what can I say? I mean, they buried him, but Abyss isn't a star either. I mean, like even with all this, I don't think Abyss got over either. The other two guys got buried, but I just thought, no one cared about Abyss either.
No. So they beat him up, or they go after him, and he beats them up, and he beats him up, and he beats him up, and he beats him up. Finally, he ends up outside, and they finally turn on each other. They do a couple of spots, and Kendrick hits Kazarian with a drop kick, at which point Abyss pulls him out of the ring. He steals the pin. So Abyss, he not only beat up both babyfaces for 90% of the match, maybe 95%, but then he outsmarted them in the end and retained his title.
Oh my God!
This was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it in some ways it was the worst match. I mean, booking wise, it was the worst match. I mean, action wise, it was not in the sense that they didn't have botched spots or anything like that. But it was just so the whole match was like so counterproductive and so obvious. It's like I'm watching this and I'm just dumbfounded. It's not working. It's not getting over, but for good reason. It's like, and it's not even like the guy's fault for being unable to engage the crowd. It's like they were being given a story that it made the baby faces just look like the complete saps of the world. It's like that's never going to work in this day and age.
Then we had Samoa Joe and Crimson to continue the streak of horrendous matches. This one here, I gotta say, I do blame a portion of this on Samoa Joe, because when your job is to carry a guy, you need to go in there and you got to look at what this guy can do, and you need to build your match around those things. And it's pretty clear in this match there was a lot of stuff.
What can Crimson do?
Well, what he can't do is take dragon screw leg whips. He can't do anything that involves rolling. He probably shouldn't be running the ropes a whole hell of a lot.
He can't punch.
I mean, there's a litany of things he shouldn't be doing. And granted, someone should have stepped forward and said, this match needs to be about 3 minutes long, But it went on and on and on. Crimson got worse. I mean, literally, like, every passing minute, he got worse. He got blown up. He botched spots left and right. Joe was getting frustrated. He was obviously getting flustered, and it fell farther and farther apart. And then finally, out of nowhere, he hits his finish and gets the pin, which, of course, after this horrendous match, it was like, wow, this hurt Joe. It did no favors for Christian.
Crimson. No, I mean, Crimson didn't come off like a star. To me, the winning streak it's just completely dead. He wasn't over, which was the thing. And Joe just when the thing was over, my thought on Joe was, man, he's got it. This is the kind of match you watch where it's time for the guy to leave the territory. And I mean, when they were bringing up about, like, Mike Tenay was bringing up about, like, I've called all these matches and how he's been with the company for 6 years. It was kind of like, wow, he's been here for 6 years, and when he got in, he was such a big star, and look at what they've done with him.
Oh, yeah.
Like they've ruined his career, and granted, he's let himself get a little bit out of shape as well. I mean, like, when he was moving, I mean, he doesn't move like he used to, but I mean, I can also understand him. I mean, how long can you beat your head against the wall?
He's clearly long past caring.
Well, how can you? If you've been there for 6 years, the only guys who could, who really could care there? I mean, you got some guys Beer Money, I think, because they're kind of over. I think they seem to care. And the Machine Guns, I think that they're really just into having good matches for their own entertainment.
Bubba clearly cares.
Bubba's really good.
We'll get into Bubba, but he was great tonight.
Bubba's really good. But I don't know. You're right. I don't know. He's one of the few that does seem to, But you know what? Bubba's also working his own program. And it's one thing. It's easier to get motivated when you're booking your own program than when someone who you have no confidence in is booking your career and who's ruined your career. Like if Bubba had ruined his own career, maybe he'd have less confidence in it. So, I think that's one of the things with him is, again, like Bubba and Abyss, it's like, they're calling a lot of their own shots, so it's easier to kind of be motivated to prove that, your own stuff isn't stupid.
Winner and Angelina did a promo backstage. Good God, this was horrible as well. Angelina,
I don't even get it. Okay, so she's not taking drugs anymore, but she's still the same.
She's still a zombie.
She's not quite as zombied out. She can talk now.
She can talk, but she's pretty zombified.
Yeah.
She is. Something's up. She's.
Oh my God! They what do they do? How do they just sit there and let this woman do nothing? You know what I mean?
Well,
she's every week she loses 5 more pounds.
Yeah.
She looks horrible.
Yeah, she. I remember when I went to the TNA house show. I was ringside, and she was 5 feet in front of me on the apron, and it's like, God, this girl, she at the time looked like, I don't know. She was really, really skinny and just really tiny, and she looks like she's lost 20 pounds since that day.
Her arms and everything are so small.
Yeah.
And her legs and everything. It's kind of a scary look.
Yeah, they're I don't know. I don't know the girl, but an intervention I think would be in order. At least someone talking to her.
Something there. The other thing too is that she's had a lot of concussions, and she got thrown into those steps. And I was thinking oh God, a woman who's had all these concussions, and you're throwing her head first into the steps.
Yeah, it's
but,
not.
that wasn't the worst of it. It was just a bad match.
Well, actually, let me get back to the match.
The crowd was dead, and some of the match really wasn't that bad. I think it was kind of just a normal bad match, or because again, it's a women's match. It's really not that much worse. I think that what really killed it was that they completely botched this DDT finish, and just Mickie James, Angelina just pinned her, and it's just like, what,
No, Mickie pinned Angelina.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez. That's even more ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's get back all the way back to the beginning of the promo first. So I guess the deal is that Winter said that they're close to fulfilling their destiny, which God knows what that is. It has to do with the title. And Angelina says, she says, let's take our medicine now. And Angelina says, we won't be needing that anymore, Winter. It took me a while, but I get it now. We're on the same page. I actually did this way better than she did. This was beyond not caring, terrible acting.
Well, this is the worst feud, of the year.
This is the worst feud of perhaps a decade. She goes out there. It's her and Mickie James. As noted, it's not a terrible match, but it's not a very good match. And they do the finish where Mickie does her jumping DDT, and Angelina has to lift her up to help her. And I don't know if she's lost so much weight, she's lost all of her strength, but she didn't get Mickie up. And Mickie fell down, and she fell down, and it was horrible. And then Mickie pinned her, and that wasn't that. Then Winter got in the ring. Winter, by the way, I might add, in this match, attempted to interfere 5 times, and was thwarted every time. And then on the 6th attempt, she got in the ring after the match, choked out Mickie with the belt. Then they left. Yeah.
I don't understand why, when you completely botch the finish, you don't get up and improvise and do something different.
Well, that was their finish.
Now, to me, that's what made the match really stink. If it wasn't for that, they botched a move. It wasn't like they're the only ones who botched a move on this show. And they botched less moves than some people on the show, but it had more of an impact because they botched their finish really bad, and they just didn't. And they just, it's like, I don't know, what is it with this whole thing of I don't know if you script your match move by move, and then if one of the moves goes bad, you just pretend that it didn't. 'Cause to me, it's like I'm at a loss for when you completely botch a finish, you don't get up and do a few more things, and you just work to a different finish, or if you if you're on a tape show, you work to the same finish, obviously, because, they'll just edit out the bad stuff. But you're on a live show, just come up with something different. Is it the referee can't figure out when you're going to improvise? He's got to count 3? I don't know, but it was just...
No instincts.
No instincts and no thinking on your feet.
No.
I mean, that's and
you're not rewarded for thinking in TNA, so
yeah. But I mean, the thing is that if you can't think on your feet, I don't think you can do this business without being able to think on your feet.
I just felt bad when this was over for Mickie because she left WWE and you promised all these things in TNA and you go out there and supposedly that TNA was famed for a while of having this great women's division and everything and then you go out there and it's just like one terrible match after another and it's not like it's her fault and no one cares and the storylines are stupid and I just watching the show
are the worst thing because you got to remember when the women's division was really good. The key to it was they didn't book it at all. They just threw them out there because they didn't care, and then they got it over, and so then they started caring about it, and it's gotten progressively, more and more horrible every week.
So anyway, this was lame. The thing that annoyed me most about the match was, if you want to do a spot where winner tries to interfere, that's fine. Maybe you do it twice or something like that. But when you do it not only 5 times, but several times right in front of the referee, it's just I cannot even possibly begin to care at that point.
Well, and there you go. And they don't even care to make it look good, like distract the ref before you do it, or do setups. It's just like they can't even be bothered with that.
We'll get to it in a minute, but was Mr. Anderson and Sting a no DQ match?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because, I mean, I
watched... I never heard that. I don't remember it being.
I watched Mr. Anderson give Sting a low blow, as the ref was staring at them. Well,
didn't he do one where... I don't know. There's so many low blows on the show. I can't remember one from the other at this point.
We had Bully Ray doing a promo, which actually was an awesome promo. Said it was a last man standing match. The operative word was man. He was the only man in the ring. He was in the best shape of his life, a one-man wrecking machine, and he was going to kick AJ Styles' ass. This was great.
Everything about this match from start to finish was great. I thought it was the best match on the show. I thought that it was good because they put AJ in you've seen AJ for all these years, so it's hard to do something new with him, but they kind of told a nice new story with him. Bully Ray does he does his character so well. They worked their ass off. I'm not hot on that. It was an absolutely incredible spot right at the finish where AJ climbed up the lighting stand, probably 15 feet, and then dropped an elbow through a table on Bully Ray. And again, I get it, but to me, it's like you're gonna do that, I don't know.
On a show that 10,000 people buy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, the risk isn't worth the reward.
No.
And the other thing is, if you're going to do that, it really should be the win. You shouldn't do that and then lose.
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, they had a really good match. AJ did a lot of cool stuff. Bully Ray did, played his role real well.
The story of the match was that Bully was a bully, and AJ is a fiery, high-flying babyface. And that's the story they told. AJ did a lot of flying, Bully did a lot of bullying, and they're both great at doing those two things. And as you noted, the finish saw AJ put Bully on a table, and he climbed up a lighting stand, everybody cheered, and then he looked up and said, what the hell, I'm going to go higher, and they cheered, and then he said, fuck it, and he went even higher. And it's actually funny because he was standing up there, and he was looking down at Bully, and he's really fucking high. And all of a sudden you hear Bully scream, do it! So he jumped off and did it, and elbow through the deal, and then both guys are down dead, and the referee starts doing the standing 10 count, and AJ kind of gets to his feet first, and he's kind of bent forward and kind of like he's touching his toes, and Bully, who is still down, puts his foot on AJ's ass and pushes him, and AJ goes head first through the side of the cage, the side of the stage.
Like this wall deal.
Yeah, the wall on the stage, and then Bully stumbles to his feet, and so Bully Ray wins, and this feud must continue, and I have absolutely no problem with that.
No, I don't either. No, I thought that's fine. I thought the whole thing was. I didn't like that. I didn't mind that Bully won. I just thought that if AJ is going to do that move,
he should win.
the other guy shouldn't get up from it.
Which is a perfectly fine.
I mean, if they, it's funny. The best move of the match to me was the move that actually hurt. I don't say hurt the match, but that made the least sense.
Which was
the elbow off the thing.
Yeah, preposterous. But the thing
and
also
it was dangerous as hell.
Yeah, and also when he went headfirst through the deal, it was kind of like, okay, we just saw something very real, which is gravity, and he fell from a very, very high lighting stand. And then the finish was, kind of looked cool that he got kicked through the side of the stage. But I mean,
people see through that.
It was very clear it was a gimmick part of the stage, and I mean, you went from very, very real to pretty goddamn fake.
Yeah, I just think that stuff. I mean, there was a time when it was new, when you would go through those walls and people would know, like either the gimmick stuff, and it's obviously gimmick stuff, and people go, holy shit, and everything. They don't now. They know what it is, and I think that, you have like a really realistic feeling match, and that's why I didn't really like that finish, because it's like, you have this finish where everyone is kind of going like, oh, it's so set up, it was so weak, it was so kind of, given like that he just got killed with that, then he kind of just shoves you with his foot, and then you go flying through this like wall type thing. It's like I don't know, not so great.
Sting and Anderson for the title. It was really telling in this match when Jeremy Borash is doing his fancy ring introductions, talking about the championship, and you've got both guys and the referee holding up the belt and everything like that, and such a tepid reaction. I mean, nobody cared.
Nobody cared. To me, that was the story of this match. I mean, there was nothing really right or wrong. I mean, they tried hard. For a Sting Anderson match, it was what you were going to get, maybe even better than you would get. It
was a little better than I expected. I won't lie.
Yeah, but the people not caring took it down a lot.
Yeah, they went too long, and the finish, as noted, was they did a bunch of near falls. They each hit each other's finisher and kicked out and that sort of thing, and we got a ref
and
bump.
People didn't even care.
Yeah,
I mean that's another thing is they need to do. They've overdone that. There's so many things they need to put a moratorium on. That almost, you almost couldn't even run a promotion because of the things they need to do because of all the damage they've done. But one of it is like on every single pay-per-view where you kick out of, everyone kicks out of everyone else's big finish. And at this point now, people just don't believe any of them are finishes. And so then when you use one of them for the finish, you get no pop because people have long since believed that it's not going to be the finish.
Well, you've also got. Okay, so Hogan promised there would be no run-ins, and so, of course, Eric Bischoff runs in. You've got a ref bump. You've got guys kicking out of finishers. And then you've got the low blow, like, right immediately in front of the referee. And it was a mess. And Anderson, after giving him the low blow in front of the referee, hits his finish and gets the pin, at which point Taz said, and I quote, "A little wacky right there."
Yeah.
Great call. So,
So Anderson's the new champion.
Anderson is the new champion. He'll be facing Kurt Angle. What a feud that's going to be.
Well, they had a great feud before.
Well, they had a great match, which they nearly killed each other. And Angle can't be doing that if he's going to actually try and go out for the Olympics.
Angle's not going out for the Olympics.
Well, he's
going to try, but come on. I mean, the whole thing's preposterous.
Karen did an interview, which actually was the best horrible thing on the show by a significant margin. She's supposedly live via satellite. She's acting like her back is messed up. Her
the thing is
boobs are hanging out all over the place.
Do you have a room in your house that looks exactly like one of the rooms backstage at the Impact Zone?
Sadly, I don't.
Neither do I.
Sadly,
I guess Jeff does.
Actually, I guess I do sort of have something here. I've got the acoustic paneling up here on the walls for this studio here, but I wouldn't be shooting my interview from here if I was doing something live via satellite. I'd go down in the living room or something. But she's supposedly out of wherever she's at, and she does this promo. And, she's basically talking about how she is under strict doctor's care. She, quote, has magnets all over her body, which, by the way, there was a nurse who was watching this.
I didn't see any magnets.
No, I didn't see any either. But I had a friend of mine here is actually a nurse, and I asked him, and I said, do you ever have people with magnets all over their body? And he goes, no, that's bullshit. So anyway, she's got a quack doctor. Said she didn't fall.
Maybe she's got Chael's doctor.
And she may. Yeah. She may. Hopefully a lot of wrestlers didn't see this because they'll be calling her tomorrow. Said she didn't fall. She was pushed. Jeff was going to be the number one contender, and she's going to put the medal around her neck, go in the bedroom, do what she does best, at which point they cut to Mike Tenay, and Mike Tenay just says, "What you do best is be an A1 ball buster." And he gives a stern Mike Tenay look, and Taz almost starts laughing. He just looks over at Tenay like, what the hell is that all about?
I don't even know what that means.
I have no idea. But
A1 ball buster? I couldn't, there's...
Hilariously horrible.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know
this
what that.
was.
I don't even know what he was saying.
I have no idea what he was talking about. But apparently that's what she is, an A1 ball buster. So there you go. Then we had Kurt and Jarrett. They had a good match. It was not great. They've had much better matches. It was
pretty good.
It's pretty good. They bill it as the final blow-off, which is kind of like when you title a show that's supposed to be live. I mean, how do we know this is the final blow-off before it even happens? I mean, how do we know there's not going to be interference? There's interference in every match. How do we know there's not going to be a some sort of fuck finish or a draw or something like that? But that's what they called it, so they go out there for the big blow-off. It is a one-on-one catch-as-catch-can battle, which is pretty damn good, until, of course, we... Oh, God. We had the usual stupid TNA spot. The referee takes a bump. The fans booed. I wonder why. They were expecting a straight match. Jeff gets his guitar, which I guess is an homage to the last 9 years of TNA. Gets in the ring, and he waffles Kurt right in the head with it, and he starts clearing out all the pieces, and then he beckons a new referee to the ring.
He forgot to clear out one piece. Can you imagine?
Not
that it matters.
That's not even the big thing. The big thing is... So you just broke a guitar over a guy's head, and then you beckon for a new referee, and he runs out from backstage. So clearly he was watching. So shouldn't he just run out and immediately disqualify you?
Well, of course.
Just people are so stupid.
Well, the other one too is that earlier in the show when Jeff did his interview, he made a mention about how Earl Hebner was going to raise my hand at the end, and then Brian Hebner comes out to referee.
Yeah.
But when Brian goes down, Earl Hebner comes running out.
Amazing.
That was just, yes.
So they did a couple of more spots and that sort of thing, and then Angle finally put him in the ankle lock, scissored his leg for the submission. And there you go, Kurt Angle, Mr. Anderson.
The thing is, the crowd was like so dead for a lot of the stuff, but whenever, they don't, the Olympic Slam, they don't believe in it anymore. They didn't even care about the stroke because Jeff's let so many people kick out of that. But for whatever reason, I guess because Kurt has won so many matches, whenever the ankle lock was on, they were really into it. And then towards the finish, Jeff Jarrett used the ankle lock on Kurt, and Kurt teased that he was going to tap, and this whole place started chanting USA, USA. And at that moment, it was like they were actually reacting like they're watching a wrestling match. It took 2 hours and 40 minutes into the show, but for that one brief moment, it was like they were actually, into this match, and they were, wanting the babyface to win, and
they knew how to motivate him.
And they knew exactly. It was awesome. That was a great spot in the match. And then, Kurt got out, and Kurt came back and won with the ankle lock. Yeah, I thought, very good match. And I can't give the show a thumbs down. I mean, I guess you could.
I can't give it a thumbs down with the AJ match.
Yeah, but I couldn't give it a thumbs up either.
No
I would give
way.
it a thumbs in the middle.
No
way.
Because
there really was a lot of bad on the show. I mean, certainly too much for one night.
I do notice on the front page in the feedback there are exactly 3 pieces of feedback.
Well, that's TNA. What can I say?
It ain't too good.
No, it's not.
All right, let's talk about Impact. Go.
Impact opened with post pay-per-view reactions. Bubba Ray was talking about AJ, said, "Man, that kid's tough." So apparently, even though AJ lost, he's still impressed Bubba Ray, and I guess that feud's over.
I actually thought this was great.
Actually, yeah, it was.
Bubba did a great promo here, putting over this young fella, talking about how he took an ass whipping, but kid gave him all he could, and now he was going to go out and douse himself, he said, in Jack Daniels and get some strippers.
Yeah. Jarrett vowed it was not over. Their final match with Kurt Angle would not be the final match. Angle vowed to win his 6th Impact Championship. Anderson bragged about beating Sting. And then the most fascinating thing, Sting turned to the camera and said that Anderson hit a low blow right in front of the referee. Mm-hmm. Sting is also tired of Impact's bullshit.
By the way, when Sting did that, and I thought, oh, maybe they're doing an angle out of this. Hopefully they follow up on it. They didn't.
No, he mentioned it here. It was
Never heard about
it
again.
No. So Anderson came out to the ring for a promo, wearing jeans, a t-shirt, and sunglasses, looking like a complete geek. He had a Papa shot up there and a table with some snacks and a pinball machine. And looking back, the work some poor fuckers had to do to get all the shit into the ring and out of it for no reason.
I guarantee they spent more on this than they spent on Jesse Neal last month.
Yes. So he announced he was hosting an asshole championship reception. This promo, by the way, was edited. Clipped. For time, I presume. Said he needed no friends, so he was having a party by himself. Said there were 5 important people to him, his niece, his wife, and then me, myself, and I. And he's rambling on for a while when he's interrupted by Gunner.
Gunner.
And his music plays, and Gunner appears on screen, and all I can think is, they must know how stupid this looks, right? So, Gunner says he helped Anderson by making sure Sting was not 100% of the pay-per-view. So Anderson said, well, thank you. I'm done with you now. Leave. Gunner wanted a title shot. Anderson said, you haven't beaten anyone. Take a number. He tossed a beer in Gunner's face, so Gunner grabbed him and basically hit a rock bottom through the table and played his music again, and they did everything right here, but the problem is his name is Gunner.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. But there is no way you can make a guy a star when his name is Gunner.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of a good example.
I'll wait.
You know, Christian.
Better than Gunner.
Edge.
Edge is much better name than Gunner.
Dude, he's named after
a weapon.
A noun.
I guess Gunner could be.
Is that a noun? Edge?
It's yes.
Okay, yeah. He's named after a noun. I guess Gunner is as well.
I suppose.
You could be a gunner on a ship. Anyway, point is, even though Gunner was involved in this, just the idea that, oh my God, Gunner was fine here. Gunner did a totally fine job.
I have no problems with...
In fact, Gunner did a better job than Mr. Anderson on this entire show.
Well, duh. I like Gunner. I just think, for God's sake, he just needs to be repackaged. Is Gunner a first or a last name?
It's his only name.
Like Prince?
Yeah. Gunner.
Or Goldust?
Gunner.
He's just Gunner.
His partner was Murphy.
That sucked too.
I don't know what people are thinking.
Speaking of not knowing what people are thinking, this next segment, Devon wrestled Hernandez.
I hated every moment of this. This was an example of something I hated every instant of.
So they show a clip of the Pope coming out to save Devon from, I guess, explosion or something.
Mm-hmm. They show this actually like 3 weeks in a row, so
yeah,
they must find it important.
Pope saved Devon, and they never show replays.
No.
So Devon had the Devon family at ringside, including his wife.
By the way,
2 kids.
I'd like to add that when they showed this replay, I immediately wrote down the following words. They show the angle again with Devon and Pope, who are now friends. And yes, Pope is a babyface again.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote down.
Yes.
So then what happened?
So Pope came out to sit by the Devons. Papa Devon got angry. The Mexicans all ended up attacking Devon for the DQ. Pope sat there and watched until Devon's boys begged him to go help. Pope ran in, made the save, cleaned house, everyone cheered. I guess he's a babyface again. Here my notes read, what the hell is going on? Then Devon got angry at Pope for Christ knows what reason. Then Pope left and the Devon family still liked him.
Yeah.
A bewildering segment.
So I guess the storyline is that Devon doesn't like that his kids like Pope.
Shanae was talking about him being a bad influence, and they're talking about his history and why Devon might not like him hanging out with his wife. And are they suggesting that Pope is a pimp?
Well,
and
he is pimping.
Well, and
That's
he will then
the
that part I can buy, but that he will then put Devon's wife to work. Is that the story?
I guess.
Odd.
Stupid. It would be just stupid. Completely irrational behavior by a supposed babyface.
It was, however, I thought, much better than the next segment. Mr. Anderson, last seen being put through a snack table, went to confront Eric about Gunner.
10 minutes later, he's totally fine.
Gunner, well, it's a table bump.
Vinny,
yeah.
Back in the day, do you remember Diesel and Bret Hart?
Yes, I do.
That was also just a table bump.
That's true.
That is something that I remember here from 1996.
Yes.
That's the point, you jackass. It's not just supposed to be a table bump. This should put you out of action for days. He's back 10 minutes later, totally fine.
Yeah. So, he wanted Eric to keep an eye on Gunner, since Gunner is technically still an Immortal. Eric started blathering about the network. He ended up booking Anderson against Gunner in the main event tonight. He told Anderson to solve the problem for himself. At that point, fine.
The network has to be like the worst angle of all time.
It's tied with everything else Impact has ever done.
When Anderson walked in, and he's all pissed off that Gunner put him through a table, and Eric Bischoff's response is to start talking about the network, I wanted to shoot my TV with a gunner. I just wanted to destroy it and never watch even the television again.
So, anyway. Yes, Eric books the match. Anderson against Gunner. At that point, this segment...
Because of the network, apparently.
This segment had accomplished what it set out to do. The point of this segment was to have Eric book a match. So they stared at each other. Anderson said something. They stared at each other more. Bischoff replied. This was awful.
This actually was worse than the first half hour of the show.
This was worse. It was bad. Angle showed up with his kids in tow, which terrified me, but thank God they were never seen again. So Angle came out, talked about why he put his medal on the line, said he was a competitor, talked about how hard he worked for the medal, and then announced that he was going to try out for the Olympic team in 2012. Jarrett came out, who said he wanted to finish it once and for all. I could have sworn they just did that.
No, that was the point of Angle's promo.
Jarrett then said that TNA isn't big enough for the both of them. Mm-hmm. Apparently not, because it's dead. So Angle said he thought Jarrett had honor for the business. What would your ancestors think?
Ancestors. Those were his exact words.
And he repeated it.
People in England?
Perhaps the Jarrett clan has been wrestling since the days of yore. Your ancestors. So...
Your kin. Would have been a better word.
How about just your dad,
actually,
your father?
I don't like kin. That could be people alive today. I like ancestors. Like it's perhaps a homo habilis. What do they think about this?
Well, I suspect they would have wrestled a lot, honestly.
Sure.
So
what would they have thought of this?
Maybe it would have made sense to them.
Bring a fucking subhuman in and show them this show, and what would they think? They didn't even understand how stupid it is.
So, Jarrett offered that if he lost this fight, he would move to Mexico. Kurt said, "Your word means nothing."
These people are so stupid.
He demanded a legal document.
Listen, everybody.
Those exact words.
Listen. Jeff Jarrett is going to Mexico, like, right now, and he's going to be at Triple Mania. And he's fighting for the AAA World Heavyweight title. And so he's probably going to win. And he'll probably work down there in AAA for a while. So, knowing that, this was the best they came up with. He randomly, in the middle of a promo, for no fucking reason whatsoever, made the stipulation that if I lose, I'll move to Mexico.
Yes.
What? I realize that that's going to... It's just... Somebody, I mean, with 5 minutes of thinking, you should have been able to come up with a reason for why he's going to Mexico. What does it fucking matter anyway where you say he goes? Why did you say loser leaves town?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you have to specify the loser goes to Mexico? It would be one thing if, like, Jarrett had been feuding with Mexicans for 6 months, you know? Mm-hmm. He's making fun of Mexicans and you know, doing all that kind of thing, and then finally he just goes, if you beat me, I'll move to Mexico and not come back. Then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But no, just out of the blue, we're supposed to believe, knowing nothing else, that Jeff Jarrett decided in the middle of this fucking promo, when Kurt Angle is asking about his ancestors, he decides, hey, I'll put up the stipulation. If I lose, I'll go to Mexico. Preposterous.
But it's what happened.
That's what happened.
Then we had, I think I've said this about a half dozen times in a row now, a segment that sucked. Not surprisingly, it involved Eric Young.
Actually, there was something before this that sucked.
What did I miss?
They announced they're doing some sort of tournament deal where the winner gets a title shot at Bound for Glory. You know when Bound for Glory is?
November?
October. So they're going to do a tournament. And what do you believe the odds are? Where's Todd Martin for Todd's odds? What are Todd's odds are actually going to finish this fucking tournament and the winner is actually going to get a title shot in 4 months?
Not good.
I'd say 0%.
Yeah.
And there's more on the tournament later, by the way.
Get to the tournament. So the thing that sucked, the other thing that sucked, Eric Young tracked down Matt Morgan. Eric Young, you recall, believes he is the television champion. He said he...
Who is a television champion?
Well, he has the belt that was the TV belt.
What happened to the TV belt?
Booker T threw it in a trash can or something.
No, there was a TV title. There's been a TV title for a while. Didn't he win it? He's got 2 belts. One is the belt that got thrown in the garbage can.
Maybe yeah, for
the Jeff Hardy belt. And then he actually, I believe, won the TV belt. Right?
He may have. I think it started as the Legends title and then turned into the TV title. You're actually looking this up?
Yes. Now
Who cares?
Because I want to know who he fucking won this belt from.
So the point is, Eric Young is TV champion, whether real or fictional is actually secondary to this. He said he wanted to wrestle Matt Morgan. He wanted to wrestle Matt Morgan in a title match. Morgan wanted no part of this because he was in the Bound for Glory series for a title shot. And Eric said...
Eric Young beat Gunner.
Well, there you go.
For the title. Go on.
So, yes, Morgan says he's in the Bound for Glory series, to which Eric replies, and I quote, "We're working at Bound for Glory?" Working. Working.
Who cares? This is what's really interesting. Okay, so you know how sometimes they have the title history on Wikipedia?
Yes.
It should just say, AJ Styles beat Booker T, Kevin Nash beat AJ Styles, Mick Foley beat Kevin Nash. No. Booker T declared himself the first champion after he unveiled the title belt. Then AJ beat Booker, Nash beat AJ, then we got Mick Foley. Foley, teaming with Bobby Lashley, pinned TNA Legends champion Nash, teaming with TNA World Champion Kurt Angle in a tag team match to win the title. If either Nash or Angle were pinned in this match, they would lose their championship. Then we have Young renaming it the Global Championship. Then, one title reign later, we have it renamed the Television Championship. Then the title was vacated due to Abyss being unable to defend it after suffering a storyline injury. Then Gunner defeated Murphy and Rob Terry in a 3-way to win the vacant title, and then Eric Young beat Gunner. What a disaster.
Prestige. So fittingly, my notes then read, Morgan wants nothing to do with Eric's piece of shit title. Eric got Vince Russo's name in there. Morgan sent him off hunting for a TV star.
Why? What did Jason Hervey have to do with anything? Can you explain this? How did Matt Morgan bring this fella into this?
Eric was saying Matt Morgan was a TV star because he was on American Gladiators.
I see.
So Morgan said if you want a real star...
Oh, God. So he buried himself. He buried the title. Anything else he buried? Himself by being involved in this.
Yeah.
This entire thing sucked. So they are doing another tournament. This is like CMLL now. They've got the... They've now got an X Division pay-per-view coming up, coming on the heels of them burying the X Division. The winner gets a title shot of the pay-per-view. The first match was Kid Cash, Jimmy Rave, and Austin Aries. 3 of the 12 people, is that correct?
It was a 12-man tournament.
Anyway, this was I had more fun watching this than I have watching anything else on this show probably in all of 2011.
Fair.
This goddamn match was great. Austin Aries was completely outstanding. if they don't sign him like right now and bring him in and give him a huge push, then they're complete fucking idiots. And know the answer to the question. They're complete fucking idiots.
Well, they are, and by the end of this, and you know what, I will sound like a fool in 2 weeks, but it was clear to me Austin's winning the entire thing. Because throughout the match, Taz wouldn't stop talking about how being a huge fan of Aries.
That means absolutely nothing in TNA.
I know this.
Because Taz does not give a shit.
I know.
And Taz just says what Taz wants to say. The other two guys, Kid Cash was fine. Jimmy Rave has improved a lot. They had a hell of a match here. And Austin pinned Rave with the Brain Buster. This was like 2 thumbs up, 5 stars. On
the Impact scale.
Praise this any higher on the Impact scale.
This was tremendous. My nitpick has nothing to do with the wrestlers themselves.
Don't want to hear the nitpick. Let's just move on. I don't want to downplay that segment at all.
Fine.
We got to give these people...
Okay, talk about the next one.
All right, this I can nitpick for years. Miss fucking Tessmacher and Velvet Sky are walking to the ring backstage. If you did not see this, you must. And it's not even because the two girls are hot. They are walking down the hall having the most ridiculous conversation in the history of conversations. Words that, like, normal human beings in a million years, in a million in infinite alternate universes, no real human beings ever had this conversation anywhere, or anything even remotely approaching it. I cannot even begin to do justice to how stupid this conversation was.
I'm really glad you took that over, because I didn't even know what to say about it. My notes read, Velvet and Tessmacher, I wrote down, I don't know. That's all I had to say. That's all I could think of.
I could not even believe this. Like, this goes, like, beyond bad acting. Because no one would actually script this. And if somebody did, wow. That goes beyond anything TNA has ever produced. This was the most ridiculous segment of all time, I think. In the history of wrestling, I believe. I've never seen anything more preposterous than this thing that they did. So then they come out, and this whole segment was... I was filled with such intense hatred for this entire segment. It's so bad that it's comedy to me now. But I was so infuriated. They come to the ring, and first off, Tessmacher is back wearing a skirt. Of course, they got to cover her ass.
You realize she took it off when she
I realized they took it off. But that brings us to the second point. So they come out like the new beautiful people, and of course they do the gimmick where they hump the ropes as they bend over. So, of course, Tessmacher takes off her shirt, humps the ropes, they don't show it.
Skirt.
It's going to be 2 years before they realize that Miss Tessmacher humping the ropes could, in fact, be hot. They haven't figured that out yet. It's just completely over their heads. So they get in the ring, and they have a match with Rosita and Sarita.
Or, as Taz called her, Rose Eater.
Rose Eater. God bless Rosita. But she was horrendous in this match. And... I don't even know if I can really call it like a match. It was a collection of spots.
This was a clusterfuck. This is a clusterfuck by which all future clusterfucks will be judged.
It was a clusterfuck of I don't know what. They just did a bunch of moves. Velvet and Tessmacher like took the entire match, if you want to call it that. I mean, no heat, nothing. Spot. Rosita was missing half the spots. So then ODB comes out, which distracts Velvet, and Tessmacher gets pinned. So in their first fucking match together, or at least their first match that they really push, Velvet and Tessmacher get into a fight, and Tessmacher walks out on her. Velvet proceeds to begin screaming at ODB, and she's yelling and screaming, and suddenly another fucking girl runs in out of the crowd and attacks Velvet. This was a return of Jacqueline, of 1990s WWF fame. She hits the ring. Her and Jackie are laying out security. And by the way, if you want a surefire way to never get laid, you go to the Impact Zone and you play security. They got laid out, look like complete geeks. They're beating people up. It goes on and on and on. This was legitimate, total nonstop action, and I don't have a single positive thing to say about it. It was horrible. And it gets worse, but we'll get into that in a moment.
My favorite part of that entire segment was their setup for the hot tag was Rosita is supposed to miss a leg drop, and Tessmacher would scramble over and make the tag. So Rosita runs at her, and she holds a leg in the air, and Tessmacher does not move. So Rosita freezes with one foot on the ground and the other leg sticking up in the air. And only after Tessmacher moved did Rosita fall down. Bad wrestling.
Then we had Jarrett signed the contract with Hulk, and Hulk is laughing, LOL, how goofy Jarrett is, how he's the man. He's howling about him going to Mexico if he loses. Glad he doesn't give a fuck that one of his top guys may be gone forever after this particular evening. So then Sting walks in, and they have this conversation. And Hogan signs Sting versus Anderson for the title, and I quote, on the 14th on Spike. I presume that's July 14th? June 14th that's passed. A month might help differentiate between other 14ths that take place in 2011. So on the 14th, everybody, he's getting a title shot. Sting is happy. He wants to know if the real Hulk Hogan is back. And Hogan said he is the real Hulk Hogan. Now they proceed to begin yelling at each other. And they yell and they yell and they yell. And Sting gives his fucking speech about his legacy. And then he starts screaming and throwing things around. And he screams at Hogan. He calls him Terry. Because it's a shoot. Sits him down in a chair, puts paint on him, because what else do you do at a shoot but put paint on a guy? And then off he goes. Now, Hogan was going nuts after the tapings, saying this was like the best Sting he'd ever seen. And Sting had turned a corner. He was totally awesome.
Turned a corner.
Yeah.
In 2011.
Now, granted, to be fair, Sting is doing some of the best work of his entire career in TNA. But I really felt bad for the guy during this segment. He was very good in this segment, but TNA has created this problem for themselves. Here I am analyzing TNA. I don't even know why I bother. If they had done this segment on Raw, people would be talking about it for months. Why? Because guys don't go on Raw every week and fucking flip their lids and scream and rant and rave and throw shit around and show this kind of passion. They just don't. They never do. So if you'd put this segment on Raw, it would have meant something. You put this goddamn segment on Impact, and as great as Sting was here, what was he? He was another guy yelling and screaming and ranting and raving and throwing shit around. He was one of, I swear to God, a dozen people on this show that did this exact same thing. So as great as he was, this meant nothing. And I really felt bad for the guy because, again, he is doing some great work here in TNA in the last 4 years. And you know what? No one's going to remember this in 10 years. If he goes to Cauliflower Alley in 2020, you think a single fucking person is going to come up to him and talk about the stuff they did in TNA? Of course not. They're going to talk about his stuff in WCW. That's all they're going to talk about. Because this stuff means nothing. And no sooner should I speak, no sooner should I write these notes about how this doesn't mean a goddamn thing because all people do on this show is yell and scream. But they go from Sting yelling and screaming and ranting and raving to throwing shit around. They cut to backstage where ODB and Jacqueline are ranting and raving and screaming and throwing shit around. And they yell at the top of their lungs, and they say, and I quote, I heard dirty bitch, little whore, pootie tang, and skinny whore. All in this segment right here. And they find Velvet, they beat her up, another insufferable fucking brawl, screaming and yelling, and it gets pulled apart, and there you go. Just another group of people screaming on Impact.
He interviewed Austin Aries backstage. He talked about how he won. He vowed to go undefeated through the tournament.
Hated this.
Oh, yeah. Not because of Austin Aries, mind you. Eric Young came storming in. When was the last time Eric Young was in a good segment?
I can't remember one.
2006, I bet. Eric Young came in. He called out the interviewer, who after about a minute I realized was Jason Hervey, former star of the Wonder Years. They never mentioned this. Eric said something about this is for Fred Savage. That's about all. That show was on when I was in junior high.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Hervey has done two things on camera in his life. The Wonder Years and Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
These were 20 or more years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, we're all supposed to know who Jason Hervey is, why he's hanging out backstage.
All you need to know is that Austin Aries on this show came across like a superstar, like the hottest new star in TNA. The place went nuts and chanted his name. He had a great match. He won. And 30 fucking minutes later, he's just another geek in just another comedy segment.
Yeah.
They ruin everything.
Yes.
They ruin everything they touch.
It's the reverse Midas touch. Everything they touch turns to poop.
It's amazing.
So yeah,
Jesus.
Eric pinned Jason Hervey. The only thing I got out of this is that Jason Hervey is actually shorter than Austin Aries. Which flabbergasted me.
Child stars never grow, I noticed.
Apparently. Samoa Joe wrestled at Rob Van Dam.
I thought this was actually pretty fucking good.
It was a hell of a lot better than Samoa Joe versus Crimson.
Joe and RVD are two guys where half the time I watch them, or more actually, I'd probably say about 80%, you watch them and you realize they don't give a fuck. They just don't give a shit about this company.
Especially Joe.
This was a night where they came out here, and I don't know if it's because they were wrestling each other or they just decided, what the hell, we're going to go out here and have a great match. They went out there and they worked their asses off. And RVD ended up punching his way out of a muscle buster, knocked him off the middle rope, frog splash, 1, 2, 3. He advances in the tournament, at which point they explained. As noted, there's a tournament, and the winner gets a title shot at Bound for Glory. Now, because it's TNA, not only is it a tournament with no fucking brackets, but they explained that by virtue of this win, RVD now has 7 points.
Yeah. Not 5, not 10, 7. Completely random.
I don't know who's in this tournament.
No.
I don't know who's facing who next.
No.
All I know
Actually,
is
I do know that, but...
Rob Van Dam has 7 points. Didn't somebody else on this show have a fucking tournament match?
The X Division guys.
Oh, yeah, that's a different tournament.
That's a different tournament.
Jesus fucking
They were
Christ.
also, in commentary during the match, they told us submissions lead to bonus points in the Bound for Glory series. And I thought, well, perhaps you should tell us what guys can do to get points.
Can't you just have brackets and a single elimination fucking tournament
So
where
then-
if you win, you advance, and if you lose, you're out of the fucking tournament? Why does it always have to be so complicated?
You know, it's not the complication that bothers me here. If they just said, we'll say 12 guys. If they said these 12 guys are going to wrestle each other, and they get points for winning matches, and then whoever has the most points at the end wins, hey, I can handle that. I can deal with that. But they never told us...
you can't even do that, Vinny, because you know they're never going to have a tally. You know they're never going to put up how many points each guy has.
That brings me to my point. They told us Rob had 7 points, and Mike Tenay said that puts him on the top of the leaderboard. And I thought, great, let's see the leaderboard. No. I was denied. There is no leaderboard.
He could have had 1 point and been at the top of the fucking leaderboard.
But I figured we would at least see who else was in it.
Oh, don't bet you're going to see a leaderboard.
We will never see a leaderboard. Of
course
there will
not.
never be standings.
No.
Don't bother trying to keep track of this. It will kill you.
Mr. Anderson and Gunner in a non-title match. You know, when this match started, they showed footage of Gunner pinning Sting last week. In his opening promo, do you know that not one time did Gunner mention that he pinned Sting?
Yeah.
Kind of an important fucking point.
Who would think? Especially after Anderson pointed out that he had not been there very long and other people were in line. A simple rebuttal. I did pin Sting last week.
Yeah. You last week, you pinned the guy who at the time was the heavyweight champion of the fucking planet Earth. That doesn't put you in line for a title shot? He didn't even bother bringing that up. That's why he's a wrestler, not an attorney, apparently. A 6-year-old, by the way. A 6-year-old would know enough to have that guy bring that fucking point up in a promo. So, they had a match. A couple of guys loudly screamed, boring. Gunner was actually completely fine when he was selling. And I was actually sitting there going, man, Gunner, good job. Good for you, buddy. And, largely good for him. But he did this comeback. I don't even know if it was a comeback.
No, you can't call it that.
I don't even know what it was supposed to be. He sold for a long time.
Anderson had the heat on him, and then Gunner got the heat on Anderson.
I guess.
That's all. The pace did not change. The intensity did not change. It was just the other guy was doing moves.
Anderson missed the senton, and I thought, here comes Gunner's comeback. This is going to determine whether this match goes over the little cusp from an average match to a decent match or a good match. So Anderson misses the big senton, which is the big setup for the comeback. And Gunner proceeds to stomp him and kick him and work him over slowly and methodically. It's like he was getting the heat on him.
I just said that.
And the fans immediately died a death. Any reaction they had to this match prior to this, they died. So Anderson went for his rolling fireman's carry.
Rollerman.
His rollerman, his ottoman, fireman's carry. Gunner kicked out. Crowd's dead. Anderson called for his mic. Says, like it or not, he's still the TNA heavyweight champion. Thought it was Impact Wrestling, by the way. And why did he need to alert us to that since it was a non-title match? I don't know. Gunner immediately hoisted him up, hit the F5 for the pin. Bischoff came out clapping. There you go.
So then we got what I thought, well, the X Division match was the best part of the show, but the other best part of the show, Scott Steiner and Bubba Ray Dudley are going to wrestle next week, and they cut promos on each other.
Mm-hmm.
They were both awesome.
They were quite great.
Steiner was talking about how he didn't know what Bubba wanted with him. He knew all that Bubba liked was sugar. He said he didn't have any donuts or cheeseburgers, so he didn't know what Bubba wanted with him, but he vowed to beat Bubba's ass. Then Bubba heard that Steiner wasn't taking him seriously. He said, I'm the one who crushed your trachea years ago. He vowed to beat Steiner and go through the tournament undefeated. And I've determined that more often than not, Bubba Ray is the best part of the show.
Oh, yeah, he's awesome. Although he did lie about that. It was Apollo that nearly killed Scott Steiner, but made for a good story. Then we had Angle and Jarrett in the parking lot brawl. This actually, I'm not going to lie about this. As far as parking lot brawls go, this was one of the more realistic parking lot brawls in history.
For a while, this was like the UWF Reborn.
Yeah.
And mainly because it was all Kurt Angle taking Jarrett to the ground and working him over. And I see that not just because that's what would happen, but because Kurt can also do that and make it look realistic.
Well, I'll say he did all right, but Kurt Angle better not. Literally, it's a good thing he decided not to do MMA because his jiu-jitsu sucked.
He did take about an hour to put it on an armbar.
And he did the worst armbar I've ever seen, and he did it so bad that Jarrett stacked him and escaped. Huh.
Yeah.
I realize this isn't real, but Jesus, this was just a horrendous attempt at an armbar.
So then it stopped being real. Jeff started throwing him into cars. He went to walk away. Kurt said, no, you haven't won yet. So I guess that's how you won this, was the one guy said uncle, basically. And so Jeff went back. Kurt beat him up more, made him say adios, and the show ended. It
was a brutal beating. He picked him up and he slammed him on the cement.
He did do an amateur takedown on the cement, and
two of them,
and then an angle slam.
Yeah. Or an angle slam onto a car. Yeah, the only thing that was lame about this was, it was great when Kurt Angle was working him over. Even if his grappling was, if he would have just done amateur wrestling, it would have been great. But he tried to do all this MMA stuff, and he's not really all that great at it. And then Jarrett, all of a sudden in the middle of it, starts doing Irish whips.
Yeah.
Irish whips.
Well, what do you want Jeff Jarrett to do?
I don't know, knees, elbows, something. Not an Irish whip. So he beats him up, and then Kurt makes a comeback. And after all of the MMA moves, after trying a rear naked choke and putting in the hooks and trying an arm bar and trying all this and that, he finally wins by taking his shirt off and choking him out with his T-shirt.
Yes, there is that.
So anyway, apparently Jarrett's on his way to Mexico for the time being. And again, as far as parking lot brawls go, pretty goddamn great. I will say that. And that is why, in the end, a hit-and-miss show. Not a disaster. There was some good stuff on the show. Sting promo was good. The X Division match was good. This was good. The Joe RVD was good. Everything else was average to... and there were a couple things on the show that were absolutely goddamn horrible, horrendous. But we get that on every single episode, so... as long as you get some good stuff, that's, that's something to celebrate. If that's the word. All right. Let's do Impact here. A bad show.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, no matter how Granny's segment ends up going, and this was one for the ages, I always feel better when it's over doing Impact. Because no matter how Granny's segment goes, it's always still better than Impact.
I suppose.
You actually think that Impact was better than Granny's segment?
Well, I'm sure
week?
by the end of the show I will change my mind on that, but that was not Granny's best segment.
There's a lot of number talk. Maybe it would have been better if you would have actually listened, you jackass.
I I hit my patience limit today. Couldn't deal with it.
Vinny, you're paid to listen to Granny talk about numbers.
Yeah.
You need to listen. You don't want me to call her back, do you?
Yes.
Because I don't fully understand next week's contest yet.
No one does.
she's confident that she can pull it off, though.
Oh, that's good.
That's why she's made it to 81.
It's good to have goals.
She's confident she can do anything, including figure out this contest, which, quite frankly, I have no confidence that anyone can figure out. But we're going to give it a shot. We're gonna hit it with our best shot, as that song said. So who was the first person we saw in Impact?
Yes. Well, it's the last person we saw in last week's Impact, the man who vowed that if he lost, he would move to Mexico. He lost, and here he was opening Impact. It was Jeff Jarrett, if you're not paying attention. He was bitching to Eric Bischoff about not getting into this tournament that he wanted to get into. Bischoff said, dude, you're supposed to be in fucking Mexico now. Jeff said he was joking.
He was joking. He acknowledged it's wrestling, stipulations are bullshit.
He should have said, Eric, it's fake. Eric said the network was enforcing it. I love this idea. The network is forcing him to move to Mexico. But Bischoff talked him into it, saying that he wanted to expand to Mexico so they could conquer that country too. There actually was a funny moment here where Jeff said, Karen will never go for this. And Eric rubbed his fingers together in the universal sign for money, and Jeff said, yeah, all right, she'll go. That was funny.
Yeah, he talked Jeff Jarrett into going and opening up inroads in Mexico.
Yeah.
Let's think about this for a second. Jeff does not want to go to Mexico. He doesn't like Mexican food. And he's talked into going because Eric Bischoff has convinced him he can make inroads in the entire fucking country of Mexico.
Sure.
All right.
Maybe he'll run a drug gang.
So then we had Bischoff coming out to cut a promo. So we're 2 for 2 in Bischoff's segment so far. So he called out Sting. And Sting came out doing... Well, he was every guy that plays the Joker on Halloween.
Yes. It was a very bad Heath Ledger Joker impression.
It was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. And I'm a big fan of Sting.
Yeah.
But this is god-awful.
Yeah.
And he laughed and he danced and he did a jig and he acted all wacky. And then he beat up and laid out Eric Bischoff.
And he beat up a little old man.
For like no reason.
Yeah.
What did Eric do?
He booked him in a match with Abyss tonight.
Oh, yeah. So what was the network thinking? I mean, isn't the storyline now that Eric and the network are on the same page?
No. His storyline is the network's in charge and Eric hates them.
Well, no.
Isn't it?
That was the old storyline. Then Mick Foley got fired.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So the storyline was they went to New York and the network finally agreed that Hogan and Eric were the only people that could run Impact.
Yeah.
So they're back in charge. And Eric is kowtowing to the network. And now this guy comes in and beats up Eric. Shouldn't the network, fire Sting now?
I suppose. Last thing we saw here was Sting had Eric Bischoff in the Scorpion Deathlock. Bischoff was screaming in pain. They went to commercial. When they came back, both guys were just gone. Mm-hmm. I guess Sting just let go. We'll never know.
Yeah, he painted up Eric with paint.
My other question about this. When, in 96 or 97, when Sting became the Crow, he had been this kind of surfer dude with face paint for his entire career, and then he had a dramatic change in character. And there was a reason for this, because in storyline, the entire company, including his best friends, all accused him of betrayal when he was innocent. And this accusation caused him to question his loyalty, and it played out over a great storyline for an entire year. Why is Sting acting like the Joker now?
Because somebody watched Batman.
Because he lost the TNA belt for the 3rd or 4th or 5th time?
He was doing this before that happened.
Was he?
Pretty sure. Maybe it was a week after he lost it.
Actually, right, because he put the paint on Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're looking for logic in TNA in 2011?
I still am.
Stop that.
I should.
So yeah, he did all that. They piped in a preposterous amount of fake crowd heat. I mean, it sounded like the place was just going nuts, and then you looked around and nobody was doing anything. So then we had... but we also had Tenay saying, I gotta admit, I never saw this coming. That's what he said. So we had clips from the house shows. We had Steiner beating Morgan, AJ beating the Pope, Morgan beating the Pope, and Gunner beating AJ Styles.
Yes. They emphasized this is a huge deal. They did a promo with AJ backstage. He made no excuses. Said Gunner was the better man tonight. Showed Gunner talking. He didn't have much to say other than he won. And then, shock of shocks, they put a scoreboard up there.
They did.
And the scoreboard at this point was a bunch of guys had 0 and 5 guys were tied at the top with 7. Which begs the question. If you're going to have a complicated rule structure with like 6 different ways to get points, and then everyone just gets 7 anyway, why not just count wins?
That will lead us to something.
I'm looking for logic. Although, this closed with Matt Morgan saying, finally, wins matter.
Remember, he said that, by the way.
Yeah, wins finally matter, what he said. So we had another match in this tournament. It was Scott Steiner versus Bully Ray. Scott Steiner, at this point, every time he is tempted to punch a man, he's just grab him and throw him overhead instead, because his punches are so slow. But then he grabbed Bubba Ray Dudley and gave him an overhead belly-to-bully suplex. Yeah, impressive. Still a very scary man. They did a ref bump. It would not be the last.
A ref bump.
That's one. And taking advantage of this ref bump, Ray hit Steiner with a chain and won. So now it is a 6-way tie with 7 points.
He missed about 10 things in this match.
I believe you.
First off, they did a double boot because they both didn't know what they were doing and they fell down.
It was an impromptu, unplanned, accidental double boot.
Taz called Steiner stout.
That was really worth noting.
Well, I looked it up, and it was defined as somewhat fat. I don't think I've ever considered Scott Steiner somewhat fat.
No.
And also a kind of strong, dark beer brewed with roasted malt or barley.
Yummy.
I don't think that's Steiner either. So, yes, we had a ref bump, and then you missed the fucking most important point here, which was that Steiner put him in the recliner and Bully tapped.
Yes.
Kind of an important point. So then, after he tapped, Steiner went to get the ref, and then Bully clobbered him with a chain. The ref woke up to count the pin. It was a typical bullshit wrestling finish in a company where they just tried to claim that wins and losses mattered. And Bubba, madly tapping out to Steiner's lame-ass recliner, took all the heat off of him, which he'd been building up lately. This was a disaster. A disaster. So yeah, now we had Morgan, AJ, RVD, Gunner, Steiner, and Bully, all with 7 points in this tournament.
Yeah. ODB and Jackie still don't have contracts, but they're going to wrestle on TV again. Bischoff was backstage. He told Abyss and Gunner, I guess, because he was just standing there, he told them to kill Sting. They left. Anderson walked in. They yelled at each other for a while.
Bischoff said, and I quote, "Give me an aspirin. Give me a pill."
Yes.
A pill.
And then by the end it was, "Give me an Advil."
Mm-hmm. Which is better than a pill.
And all I can think was, you are backstage at Impact Wrestling, and the best you can do is Advil?
I don't know if anyone backstage would even have an Advil.
Probably not. So he said, all I can think was, that's the best you can do. And speaking of best you can do, Spike advertised a full day of Nate Marquardt.
Mm-hmm. It's Sunday, running head-to-head with the actual UFC on Versus, headlined by Nate Marquardt.
That could run head-to-head with, well, Impact. I think I watched Impact.
Mr. Anderson, by the way, was in there, and he said nothing, and Bischoff yelled at him, and he berated him, and he told him to get out of my sight, at which point Anderson got out of his sight.
Polite young man.
What a pussy.
We had an indie guy named Zema Ion. Talked about how great he was. They showed Jersey All-Pro footage of him doing cool moves. It was a good promo, and it was actually a hell of a segment because it actually looked... This... For maybe the first time ever, this made Impact Wrestling look like the big leagues that guys were aspiring to get into.
What was so awesomely TNA about this segment was that this fella, Zema Ion, is, he works for Jersey All-Pro as Shima Zion.
Excellent.
So I guess they didn't want him to use that name because they want to trademark his name. So they changed Shima Zion to Zema Ion. So I guess they could trademark Zema Ion, even though when he goes back to the indie scene as Shima Zion, it's pretty much the fucking same name. So why bother?
I don't know.
It's just, I mean, like, I mean, really, name another company in the world that would do something like this. Not just wrestling. I mean, I could not even believe this. This would be like if... let me try and figure this out. I can't think of an analogy that's any good.
No one's ever done anything
because, quite frankly,
pointless.
I don't care enough.
That too.
But it's just it's. All
right, we need to talk about the next segment. Miss Tessmacher.
How about I got one. Let's say that I can't think of a good one.
Well, let's wait. Try again.
Oh, try again?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Why?
You seem so determined to think of something.
I'm just well, there's nothing else like wrestling is the problem.
Well, that is true.
Let's say that I just can't think of anything. Yeah.
That's too bad then. So Miss Tessmacher and Velvet Sky
Show has drained the life out of me.
wrestled ODB and Jacqueline.
Literally drained the life out of me.
In an ungodly segment.
I feel like a light bulb, like sometime early on in the show, I just a blinding flash of light emitted from me, and I went out.
Hmm.
Did you see that?
No, and I'm right in front of you.
Because I feel like that happened to me.
Huh.
Like something happened and just BAM! Out I went.
I actually, believe it or not, I feel the same way, but it happened like 4 hours ago, and I have been dead since then.
I suppose we can just continue with the program.
Why don't you talk about the next match?
I don't even know what's happening.
Every time I start, you
I don't even know where we're at.
We watched Impact tonight.
Have we gone over the lotto numbers yet?
No, let's go back and start over with Impact.
So
Jeff
where
Jarrett
are
was
we?
there.
We're on this fucking show.
Miss fucking Tessmacher.
Oh, yeah.
Tessmacher and Velvet wrestled ODB and Jacqueline.
Oh.
Babyfaces came out for a promo. Here is what they... Did you write this down word for word?
I did not write it down word for word, but I wrote down the gist of it.
Okay. You want me to go over it or should you?
Go for it.
Velvet said that ODB and Jackie did not have contracts.
They didn't have contracts.
They didn't have contracts. But they asked, presumably the network, they wanted to wrestle the heels in a no-holds-barred match.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this, everyone. They wanted a no-holds-barred match.
Yes.
However, whoever was in charge said that because ODB and Jacqueline do not have contracts, they have to, quote, play it by the rules.
Play it by the books.
Play it by the books. Because they have because they are not under contract, you must follow the rules.
That's what they said.
Because are you breaking the rules by putting someone without a contract in the ring?
You think?
Am I wrong on this?
No, this is idiotic.
This was the most completely ass backwards logic of all time. So
they started by having a brawl outside the ring in the crowd.
In this match where they were told to play it by the book and not have a no holds barred match, yes, they brawled on the ramp. Oh, they also said, bring it, bitches, and Mike Tenay repeated it. So please, someone send us a drop of Mike Tenay saying, bring it, bitches. Also, as long as you're screen capping stuff from the show, we need a screen cap of Velvet Sky and Miss Tessmacher bending over as the heels are making their entrance. That was a plus.
For 0.5 seconds, because it's Impact.
That's why we need a screen cap.
Someone saw it on screen and went, oh shit, we need to get a shot of ODB's
something
ass.
Entertaining on television. Get it off, quickly.
Yes.
So yes, they have a by-the-book match by brawling on the floor. They were whipping each other into furniture. They threw each other in the apron. They rolled around a lot. All of this on the floor for several minutes without getting in the ring. In what way was this not a no-holds-barred match?
Well, it broke down into a match in the ring.
There was a fourth person with us tonight. It's usually you, me, and your wife. And your wife had a friend over, and I was so humiliated to have this segment
embarrassing.
On. It was
completely embarrassing.
So, yes, it broke down into a wrestling match. They got the heat on Tessmacher for a while. ODB talked about her, quote, hooters. Also called her a whore. Now,
such a shitty show.
In her defense, in storyline, Miss Tessmacher was in fact a whore.
That's true,
So,
yes.
She was accurate in this one. So then Velvet and Jackie, neither of whom are legal, were brawling on the floor. This caused Velvet to miss a tag. When Tessmacher went to the corner, she wasn't there.
Which, by the way...
They fucked it up so badly, Velvet had to jump on the apron and then pretend she could not run to her corner.
I am not sure if, like, ODB... I mean, I don't know what happened here, but from watching the match, all I could think was ODB and Jackie hate these girls so much that they're going to make them look as stupid as humanly possible on television.
Could be.
Because they got the heat on Tessmacher, and they kept doing these spots where Miss Tessmacher would wander towards her corner, and instead of stopping her, they would not go towards her, and so she had to walk towards her corner, and then just for absolutely no good reason, turn and walk the other way.
Turn right.
And then they would go cut her off.
Yes.
They made these girls look so damn stupid.
Uh-huh.
Then it broke down into a four-way, and we had the most awesome moment of the year as Tessmacher tackles ODB, and she's pounding on her, and she's hitting her fucking hard with forearms. And as ODB is rolling to safety outside of the ring, she's right there in front of the camera, and here on this taped show, the camera loudly picks up her saying, and I quote, "Oh my God, you suck."
Yeah. Oh my God, you suck.
That's what she said.
It was
Taz
so
laughed.
blatant, the announcers were forced to acknowledge this and claim she was talking trash.
Oh, she was talking trash, all right.
Oh my God, you suck.
So she threw Tess into the barricade. She tackled Velvet.
Yo, this was saying she tackled Velvet. No, she put her body against Velvet and they rolled around. Then she did the same thing to the ref. It was supposed to be a ref bump, but the ref was behind her, so she reached behind and grabbed him by the leg. He flopped like a fish. This was Jackie's cue to kick Velvet in the labia and pin her.
Listen, everybody. This sounds like Vinny making a joke, but this is legitimately...
This is what happened.
Swear to God what happened. After the most god-awful match in I don't know how long.
Let's call Granny again. I'm tired of talking about it fast.
After the most god-awful match in I don't know how long, the finish of this match was Jackie kicking Velvet in the balls. Yeah.
Now.
She gave her a low blow to her no balls, which Velvet sold as if she had balls, and then pinned her.
Yes, Jackie pinned Velvet after this. Velvet rolled around for several minutes, moaning in pain and pawing herself. And it just occurred to me this, remember I said there's a fourth person here and I was humiliated? I believe she's actually gone to bed in the wall right behind me, and I just shouted in the labia at the top of my lungs.
Now, let's think about this for a second.
So I apologize for breaking up your wife's friendship.
I don't want to talk too much about labias or anything like that, but let's talk about the physiology.
Anatomy?
The physiology of this here.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I realize that if I kicked a woman in the vagina, it probably wouldn't feel well. But would it feel any worse than if I kicked her exactly as hard in, say, the stomach? Or in the ass?
Or the arm?
Or the legs?
Or the
thigh, elbow? Yeah. The knee joint? When you kick a man in the balls, your foot hits his balls. Which hurts more than if you hit him anywhere else.
That's a very Norm Macdonald analysis.
It's true, though. You could hit me anywhere else in the body, and it would not hurt as bad as if you hit me right in the balls. That's why when you kick a guy in the balls,
it hurts.
It really fucking sucks.
Yes.
So why does kicking a girl where balls would be cause her to grab her vagina and fall down and then be pinned? It's preposterous.
I want to go home.
Girls don't have balls. It's just a fact.
Yes. This is what our analysis of the show has come to.
I didn't book this.
I'm not blaming you.
I'm merely telling you what happened. That was the finish.
Yeah.
A girl got kicked in the balls and was pinned. It's fucking idiotic.
Yes. It was.
Oh my God, this sucked.
Oh, Jesus God. All right. We had, I believe his name was Federico Palacios.
Nothing can follow what we just talked about.
No.
Except actually there was stuff later that was almost as stupid.
Oh, their match.
But my God.
Yeah, he also talked about his big break. They showed some Jersey All-Pro footage. Again.
His big break is on this show. His big break is, he's talking about his big break, the segment after a girl got kicked in the balls for a pin.
Yeah.
Way to go on your big break.
Tara cut a promo backstage. She's apparently wrestling Madison the 14th. Madison interrupted, gave her a chance to apologize. It turned into a brawl. Keep in mind, we just saw 4 women brawl for like 20 minutes. Tara says, never touch me again, which is an odd thing to say to someone you're going to wrestle in 2 weeks.
To be honest, 90% of the people that work in TNA, if they got a job in Jersey All-Pro, that'd be their big break.
True.
Not the other way around.
Beer Money had a conversation backstage. Roode told Storm he was not 100%, and in fact, he had not yet been medically cleared. Storm tried to talk him out of wrestling tonight, but Roode said if we win, we both get points and maybe a title shot down the road, and that's too important, and Storm said okay. Roode said he was not medically cleared, but he is still going to wrestle.
Yeah, because they don't care in TNA. They don't give a shit.
What's the point of even doing medical clearance then?
They don't.
He should have said, I didn't bother seeing the doctor, fuck him.
No. Just dumb.
So, cut backstage where Steiner was going crazy, and Bubba Ray and Abyss and Gunner were all cowering in fear from him.
And the best part was he's so angry that he was swinging a chain. But he wasn't actually swinging it at anyone. He was just swinging it at random
particles.
Wood, metal. It was...
All I know is everyone on the show shouts all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
And right here, I could not take it anymore. I believe the end of this, they offered him a Spartan and Immortal, and he said he would think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Beer Money versus Crimson and Morgan. This was in the Bound for Glory tournament, so both members of the winning team would get points.
Maybe somebody can explain this to me.
All right.
Tenay says whoever gets the pin gets the points. The pinfall or submission gets the points. Now, was it just me, or did last week they explain that you got X number of points for a pinfall, X number of points for a submission, X number of points for a disqualification, X number of points for a count out?
Something like that,
was that
yes.
just me, or was that you reading the fucking fantasy game?
No, I believe on screen they showed 4 or 5 different ways to get points in this tournament.
So, okay, in a tag team match, what happens if there would have been a disqualification?
Presumably, both members of the winning team would have gotten points.
Both members of the winning team would have gotten DQ points?
I guess.
They did not bother to explain this at all. If you're going to do all these things with these wacky points, then the point of the announcers is to talk about things like this. The point of the announcers is not to go out and go, okay, whoever gets a pinfall or submission gets the points. The announcers should be bringing up this question. What happens if it's a DQ? What happens if Crimson gets counted out? Do both of Beer Money split 3 points or whatever it is? What happens? Never even brought up for a single moment. So I have no idea what happens. Luckily, there was no DQ in this match. So, it was fine. It's
Bobby Roode is great.
Bobby Roode is very great.
Yeah.
Morgan is not very good.
So the deal was, yes, Roode was working with the worked injury. He started off and he was going fine, and then he tweaked his shoulder and cried out in pain and immediately tagged out. And he came back for the finish. He got the hot tag. He was running wild. He tossed Storm. He gave his own partner a backdrop over the ropes onto Crimson on the floor. But doing this hurt his shoulder again, and he sold, and then by the time he recovered, he turned around and Morgan booted him and pinned him for the win. Morgan couldn't have done something to attack the arm or the shoulder for the finish?
Of course not.
He can't do a chicken wing?
No, are you kidding me? The bigger question is, if in these tag matches, the guy who gets the pin or the submission gets the 7 points, shouldn't this actually be an example where, since wins and losses matter, teammates actually should be trying to fight each other and break up pins and that sort of thing? Based
on the conversation Beer Money had, I am under the impression that based on this result, Crimson and Morgan each got 7 points.
Good thing we looked at the scoreboard to find out if that was true.
Well,
I do know that Crimson ended up with 14 points. He's in the lead right now.
Morgan.
Oh, yeah, Morgan.
Morgan had 14 points. Yeah. So he
I can't tell if this is my failure or theirs. I'm actually giving them the benefit of the doubt here.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah.
Abyss walked around discussing philosophy. Eric Young had his belts on the street somewhere, looking for a TV star. He made some jokes with the guy passing by. I think we're supposed to think he was looking for Popeye.
He was looking for Popeye.
And he stormed off, and we never saw him again.
Well, you see, Popeye was on TV, and he's the TV champion, so he wants to face Popeye. This was not funny. I don't know who could have thought this was funny. It was just not funny.
No.
It's not even remotely approaching funny. It was not even so bad it was funny.
It was unfunny.
It was painfully unfunny.
AJ Styles came out.
Eric Young going to Jersey All Pro Wrestling would be his fucking big break. I ain't kidding about that. If he got a contract with Jersey All Pro Wrestling, well, they don't give contracts, but if he just got bookings there, that would be Eric Young's big break, because he'd stop doing this bullshit.
AJ Styles came out, said oh my God. He said that the Destination X pay-per-view would be all X division. You know, that division they killed by the last pay-per-view. He didn't know who was in charge. He said Hogan or Bischoff or the network or whatever.
Actually, I liked when he said it was going to be an all X Division show, because all I could think was, what does that even mean? Abyss is the X Division champion.
Yeah.
Who? What? There are no limits. So can't it just be everybody on the show is in the X Division?
That's actually a good point. So he announced they would bring back the 6-sided ring. Everyone went crazy. He said they're going to do it for one night only, and all I could think was, a subject near and dear to your heart, the McRib. If it's so good, why do you bring it back once a year?
Well,
same thing with a 6-sided ring. If it's so good, just bring it back. He started talking about all the former X Division stars like Elix Skipper, Kid Cash, Low Key, Jerry Lynn. Just then, Samoa Joe's music played, and he came out. He said the X Division wasn't hot until he showed up and killed everybody. Suddenly, the X Division was main eventing pay-per-views. Yeah, 5 years ago. He was about to announce his own main event when Daniels interrupted. He said it was time to give the people the match they wanted. AJ versus Daniels one-on-one.
Yeah.
Joe started laughing. Then AJ accepted the match, and Joe was left crying like a bitch.
Which he did backstage further.
Well, yeah. In fact, it was right here. Frankie Kazarian confronted Daniels and wanted to know what he was doing. And Daniels said it's about competition or whatever. So Daniels left. Joe came along, made a joke about the Real Housewives of Fortune. Kaz mouthed off, and so Joe shoved his face very hard into the wall. That looked like it sucked.
So maybe they're not doing a three-way. Maybe it's going to be Kazarian and Joe, and they're actually going to do just AJ and Daniels.
Yeah, it could. I really don't think it matters. Dakota Darso got a promo. Yes. Smash Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He Hodel Smash. This promo was not very good. He was talking about how he was a rock star and a wrestling star, and the ironic thing was he came off totally nervous.
Yeah, this guy had a WWE deal and he was fired.
Yes.
And as a second-generation star in WWE, it takes a lot to get fired.
Well, we watched his match. I know why he was fired. I'm afraid he's no good.
He needs a lot of work.
The first two dudes did not even get entrances. Only Dakota Darso did. There was some god-awful ring gear in this match. So
I feel bad for making fun of Zack Ryder after seeing what Shima was wearing. It's like an indie version of it.
It was like a guy who could not afford Zack Ryder's one-legged tights.
I called Zack Ryder's gear indie gear, but after seeing Shima's gear...
You do owe Zack Ryder an apology.
Shima actually had an indie version of Zack Ryder's gear. It was one-legged tights with fringe.
Yes. So, yes, Smash Jr. sucks. His offense is very lame. He failed to catch Palacio on a dive. He failed so badly that in selling, he rolled over onto his belly and grabbed the guy by the back, and you could basically, you knew he was saying, "I'm sorry, are you okay?" So then Ion tried to follow this with a corkscrew dive off the rope. The two guys were brawling. The shortest version is that Ion came up about 10 feet short, and Palacio had to try to dive under him to try and break his fall.
And Darso helped him by shoving him into the way.
I don't know if this is their planned spot or not, but it looked like Darso shoved Palacio into his Ion's way, and if I can only imagine none of us have ever heard of these men before, because they never existed before the show, but yeah, just trying to keep track of all these names. Three new guys thrown together at one time was too much. Anywho, the point is, Ion came off the ropes. He landed on Palacio. They both collapsed. Darso, nobody touched him. He's just standing there. And then he sort of realizes, wait, I'm just standing here, and he collapses.
Yeah.
Then Ion began celebrating his dive. He ran up the ramp. He ran down the ramp. And when he ran down the ramp, Taz thought someone was running in. Darso hit an ugly moonsault. Palacio did a foot stomp to his back. That looked like it sucked. Finally, Ion pinned Darso with a 450. A bunch of indie goofs here.
This was a...
This made you realize how good guys like Sabin, Daniels, AJ, Joe,
Yeah.
They're really, really awesome.
Well, the right guy won the match,
Sure?
and the right guy lost.
Yes.
Thank God they piped in crowd noise.
I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm very sure this would have been much better with Barry Darso, actually.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The 2011 version of him.
Without question, that would have been a better match.
So, Rob Van Dam was backstage. He was talking about the Bound for Glory series. Said he had an X Division pay-per-view coming up. He may as well be on it because he said, I was X Division before X Division was cool. At this point, Jerry Lynn appeared behind him and said, don't you mean we? And then he walked away. That was his only appearance on Impact in probably 3 years, maybe more. And then Rob Van Dam looked at him and looked back to the camera and said, and I quote, Jerry Lynn!
I don't even know if Lynn has worked since he got his back surgery. So I have a feeling he's not going to be on the show.
I would recommend. Last I heard, he was not. He was like in terrible shape.
Well, he actually looked like he was in decent shape.
Well, I don't mean like he had gotten fat.
I see.
I mean like he had destroyed his back.
Well, his back was completely destroyed. Yes, that's why he got surgery.
So, hope he's better. Winter and Mickey were supposed to have a match. For the third time on the show, it became women brawling.
Mm-hmm.
They brawled on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And yet, yes, this is the one where in a street fight where they brawled outside the ring for like 10 minutes. After all of this, they had to do a ref distraction so Angelina Love could interfere.
Yeah, Angelina, the ref was distracted so that somebody can run in a street fight, which has no rules. She gives Mickey her backcracker, and then she has to go and hide because, of course, if the ref saw her, well, nothing! Because it's a fucking no disqualification match.
Yeah.
This whole thing this never should have made television. It was, it's not even like Winter and Mickey were bad. It was just we did not need a third women's brawling match on the show. The booking of the match was completely beyond idiotic. The crowd was totally burnt out. They didn't care. The whole thing was just a pointless, too long disaster that didn't fit, and it was booked by a complete moron, and it sucked.
That describes this entire show. Main event: Sting versus Abyss. After months of before we get to the finish here. After months of wrestling Anderson and Rob Van Dam, how happy do you think Sting was to be in there with Abyss?
Well,
guy was competent.
Probably, I'm sure he was happy, except that it is now almost a running joke. But they're brawling outside the ring. Sting's running wild at the beginning, and Abyss is up against the post, and Sting runs at him, and Abyss sidesteps, and Sting runs into the post, and that's your heat.
Yeah.
Because Abyss, in nearly every match, is faster than and outsmarts the babyface.
That's true.
Every single time. So Sting looks like a goddamn idiot, and Abyss starts working him over. He starts beating him up, and out of nowhere, he hits a chokeslam. And he chokeslammed this guy hard. This was no easy chokeslam for the old guy. No, he chokeslammed the shit out of this guy. Sting kicks out. Abyss then goes over and picks up his book, The Art of War. He begins reading it in the middle of the match. Apparently, the book told him to get a glove wrapped in barbed wire. He puts it on right in front of the referee. It is acknowledged by the announcers. This is right in front of the referee. Angelina Love has to fucking hide in a no disqualification match. And here is Abyss with a barbed wire glove on his hand, swinging wildly at Sting.
In a not no disqualification match.
Sting avoids him, and then he makes his own comeback. And Sting is running wild and clotheslining this guy. And just the most awesomely stupid spot of all time. The guy's got a barbed wire glove on his hand. Sting is running wild on him. Sting finally comes off the ropes, and Abyss has the presence of mind to put his boot up, and Sting runs into it. Why didn't you punch him?
With the glove, with the barbed wire.
Didn't enter his mind! Nor did it enter whoever put together this match's mind. So he falls down, and somehow, despite being booted, Sting ends up hitting the death drop on this guy. And makes the cover. Abyss kicks out. Sting then takes the glove off, puts it on, and he punches Abyss. And now the ref calls for the disqualification. So apparently, if you ran into the ring with a gun, a firearm, and you started shooting,
right,
as long as you miss the guy, the match continues.
Yes.
But when you actually hit him with a bullet, then you're disqualified.
You've gone too far. It should go the other way. Sting was disqualified for competence. Abyss should have been disqualified for failure.
So then, after he hits him with this glove, he starts pounding on him, and Abyss begins bleeding all over. And the last shot on the show is Mr. Anderson coming down to the ring with the belt over his shoulder, and he's looking sternly into the ring at Sting. And Sting is maniacally punching Abyss repeatedly in the head with a barbed wire glove, and Abyss is bleeding everywhere. And then the show ends. And for those of you that are tuning in perhaps for the first time, Sting is the babyface, and Anderson is the heel. And somehow this was supposed to make you want to see a title match between these two men at the next pay-per-view. This sucked. I will conclude with the 3 words I used to conclude my report. Quote, a stupid show.
Can't argue.
Nothing more to say about that.
Stupid fucking show.
This show is as lame as they come. I hate it. Have I mentioned that before?
Let's stop watching it.
I really wish I could stop watching it, but for journalistic purposes, I've got to.
You're not a journalist.